Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto reveals his Rinnegan part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Fire Country, Valley of the Dawn. People say that things always come in threes. Bad things and good things, no matter what, they are always supposed to come in threes. The monstrous Mangekyo Sharingan, for example, had 3 sets of layers no matter which design you saw. Hell, the legendary Sannin was another example of this. They were all a team back when they were genin under the Sannin Hokage, and they became some of the strongest fighters in the world. Sadly, no one wanted to inform Uzumaki Naruto of this little detail. His current teacher was one of the legendary Sannin, a man named Jiraiya, and the two had come across each other during the 1-month break in the Chunin exams. Since Jiraiya had knocked out the boy's original teacher for the exam, he had to take the kid as his student and taught him the Kuchiyos no Jutsu. Sadly, the boy's chakra network was so large it was nearly impossible to control. This was just made worse by the fact that Jiraiya discovered a suppression seal on him courtesy of his fellow Sannin Orochimaru. It was removed, however, and Naruto's chakra control shot up to its normal level, allowing him to master the water walking exercise. After many trials and errors at the Kuchiyos no Jutsu, Jiraiya had enough and decided to have the boy try and draw out the monstrous chakra that was sealed in him by his own father. "Forgive me, Minato," Jiraiya thought before he dropped her new student on the ground. "Where am I?" Naruto blinked and turned to him. "Get up," Jiraiya ordered, and Naruto shakily stood. What is it?" Naruto asked, unsure. "Your training ends here. If you value your life, you've got to figure things out for yourself," Jiraiya said simply. "Huh?" Naruto asked, confused, before Jiraiya pushed him. The blonde genin reeled back and fell straight into the large valley below. "Oh crap. Now we'll find out whether the Kyuubi is pleasing or a curse," Jiraiya mused as he saw his student fall. Naruto tried to use chakra, but every time he touched the wall he couldn't get any grip and kept on falling. "If I can't grab onto something, then I'll die. I'm really going to die." Naruto's mindscape, Jinchuriki seal. Drip, drip, drip. "Oh my aching head," Naruto groaned as he looked up. "Where am I?" he thought as he looked around the sewer-like environment he found himself in. A loud roar was heard as it echoed through the corridor. This feeling, it's that chakra. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he made his way through the corridor and entered a large room. "What the heck is this?" he asked in thought when he came across the large gate-like prison. "Boy, come closer," a sinister voice said from the darkness beyond the gate. "What the?" Naruto jumped back as 4 large claws attempted to catch him through the bars. "I want to devour you, but this seal prevents me from doing so. It won't open." "How irritating," the voice growled out in frustration. "Why, you are Kyuubi no Yoko," Naruto breathed out. "Child of my enemy, why have you come? Even those eyes of yours will not save you from me, so tell me what you want or leave." "Boy," the giant fox roared in fury. Naruto gulped before he smirked up at the fox. "Hey, furball. I've been letting you live in my body all this time, and you owe me rent. As payment, I'll take you chakra." Kyuubi's sinister laughter echoed through the chamber before he responded. "You've got some nerve, brat. You are either very brave or very stupid, just like he was. Very well, boy. I will reward you for having such nerve, but know that I am only doing this to help ensure my own survival." Red liquid leaked through the bars and engulfed the blonde where he stood. Fire Country, Valley of the Dawn. "Kuchiyos no Jutsu," Naruto called out as smoke exploded all around him. Jiraiya smirked from his position above the valley. "Nicely done, kid." Just then Naruto shouted in pain. "What's going on?" The large toad, Gamabunta, jumped out of the valley with Naruto, who was covering his eyes and yelling in pain. "Jiraiya, what's going on here?" Gamabunta demanded as the Gamma Sennin jumped up onto his head and approached his student. "This is Uzumaki Naruto, my new student, and your new summoner. What's wrong, kid?" Jiraiya asked, concerned. Naruto looked up at him and Jiraiya had to stop himself from falling. "Oh no." His eyes. "My eyes hurt, Rasengan. What's going on?" Naruto asked frantically as tears were falling down his face. "Your eyes, you have the Rinnegan," Jiraiya gulped. "He has the what?" Gamabunta demanded. "No one has ridden on my head since the Yondaime Hokage. Fine, I will allow him to be a summoner, but you had better make him into someone dependable." Jiraiya. The giant toad disappeared in a poof of smoke, allowing Jiraiya to catch Naruto as the two fell to the ground. "Naruto, you're channeling chakra to your eyes, so stop channeling chakra and the pain should stop too," Jiraiya told him. Naruto did as he was told. He sighed in relief as the pain disappeared. What was that, Rasengan?" "Look at me," Jiraiya ordered, and Naruto did so. "It seems that your Rinnegan is different from Nagato's. You can deactivate yours at will." "Rinnegan?" Naruto asked, confused. "A Dijitsu said to be the most noble of the 3. Supposedly it originated with the Rakuto Sannin, said to be the first shinobi. He created the original forms of jutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, fuinjutsu and kinjutsu. It's a very dangerous Dijitsu," Jiraiya explained. "Who is Nagato?" Naruto asked him. "Nagato was an old student of mine. I heard he died a while back, but he also had the Rinnegan. It's rumored that the Rinnegan always appears when the world becomes corrupt. It's capable of being both a godlike force and an all-obliterating instrument of destruction. I never thought I would see one again. I never wanted to see one again," Jiraiya continued. "What should I do?" Naruto asked hesitantly. For now, keep the fact that you have those eyes a secret. We don't want any of the other countries finding out yet, and we definitely don't need Orochimaru taking an interest in you, Jiraiya told the blonde. Naruto gulped but nodded. Sure thing, Sannin. Jiraiya paused for a moment before letting out a sigh. Alright, let's see if we can get you some semblance of control over the Rinnegan and maybe Kyuubi's chakra. Fire Country. Konoha/Chunin Exam Arena. The day of the exam finals, the entire village was abuzz with activity, but none more than the arena itself. People from all over the elemental countries had come to watch the tournament, where the strongest genin from the various villages came to see if they could be promoted. Among them were the members of the infamous Konoha 12, as they were being called now. The Hokage, Kazekage, and surprising the Raikage had shown up to watch the tournament even though he didn't have anyone participating in the exam. When asked why he was there, he just said that he came to watch the tournament. The participants soon arrived and stood in the middle of the field, but Uchiha Sasuke, the heir to the Uchiha clan, had yet to arrive. Silently, Sarutobi Hiruzen cursed Kakashi's constant lateness. Why did he have to be late now of all times? Sasuke-kun still not here, Ino said as she looked down from the audience. Sakura remained silent beside her, as she thought about her missing teammate. Ino nudged her. Hey. I know you're worried about Sasuke-kun, but Naruto's match is first, so why don't you stop fretting and cheer him on? Sakura turned to look at her old friend and smiled. Yeah. The first match of the Chunin exams will now begin. Will Hyuga, Neji, and Uzumaki Naruto step forward while the other competitors go to the fighter's box to wait until it is your turn, said the examiner, Genma. As the other participants left the two, Ino couldn't help but say, he's up against Neji, can he actually win against him? I don't know, Sakura said honestly as she remembered their mission to Wave Country, and their time in the Forest of Death. She smiled slightly. But he won't go down easy. The kid doesn't stand a chance. He's fighting a Hyuga. Someone in the audience spoke up and several others agreed with him. Kiba just grinned slightly at that. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Look at what happened though. I got my ass kicked. Up in the Kage box, the three assembled Kages looked down at the two fighters. So that's the Hyuga progeny? Asked the Raikage. Hiruzen nodded slightly. Yes, he is. His father was the one that died during the incident with your predecessor Raikage Dano. The Raikage nodded in understand. I'm sure the boy must hold much animosity towards our village. The boy will have an easy win, spoke the Kazekage. Hiruzen let a small smirk grace his lips. We shall see. The Raikage looked over at his bodyguard, a 13-year-old Kumo Chunin by the name of Niyujito. What is it, Yujito-chan? Grandfather. That blonde boy, I sense a great power within him, the blonde girl whispered to him. The Raikage nodded and whispered back, yes, I feel it too. Yujito nodded. What should we do? The Raikage just smiled at his granddaughter. Just watch this tournament closely. I vow to win, Naruto spoke as he thrust out his hand towards Neji. He remembered his meeting with Hinata back in the training field before he came to stadium, and silently swore that he would do everything within his power to defeat Neji. You appear to believe you can win, Neji chuckled in amusement. You cannot change destiny though. Fate has already decided the outcome of this match. I cannot wait to see your eyes when you realize the truth, he continued as he settled into his Juken stance. Naruto just grinned in response. Whatever. Let's go wild. Let the first match of the Chunin exam finals begin now, Genma called out as he jumped out of the way of the two. Almost immediately Naruto made a hand seal. Tajukaiga Bunshin on Jutsu 20 shadow clones popped into existence in front of Naruto, and he called out, charge. The kid knows the Tajukaiga Bunshin on Jutsu, that's a Jonin level Kenjutsu. Where did he learn that, and more importantly, how can he use it so effortlessly? Izumo asked as he observed the fight. I don't understand, he can't even pull off a simple Bunshin no Jutsu, how can he use a more powerful version of the technique? Asked Kotetsu in confusion. The fool Neji thought as the clones charged. He activated his Byakugan and smirked at the oncoming one-man army. His clones have an equal amount of chakra in them, so I am unable to ascertain which one is the real one, but you cannot fool my eyes. He dodged the attacks the clones sent at him and charged right at Naruto. The one who hangs back while his clones fight is the real one. He lands a Juken strike at Naruto's heart and sends him crashing into the nearby tree. It's over. The Naruto he hit, however, suddenly disappeared in a poof of smoke a moment later. What? The ground below at his feet suddenly parted as Naruto emerged and landed a solid blow to the Hyuga's chin, sending him flying back. Now good enough. Neji recovered, however, and shot the blonde a glare. I came into this match knowing I'd probably lose, but I hate it when bastards like you say there is no hope at all, so I won't take it lying down. Naruto shouted at him. How did you do it? I always kept my eyes on your original body, Neji asked with a glare. Do you really think I was using those clones to fight you? I was just using them to find out what you were made of. Do you really think I'm stupid enough to fight a Hyuga in close combat without an ace up my sleeve? Naruto shot back with a grin. This ignorant little Neji trailed off as his eyes narrowed. The clones also served another purpose, Naruto stated. And what might that be? Asked the Hyuga progeny. To find out if there was gap in your line of sight, the blonde answered truthfully. What? Neji turned swiftly in surprise but was unprepared for one of Naruto's clones to land a rather powerful punch to his face. The blow sent him flying back with the clones in pursuit. He located the gap in my eyesight with his clones. Finish him now! Naruto shouted to his clones as they took out their weapons to finish the job. I have no choice. I must use that jutsu, Neji thought as he touched back down on solid ground and expelled chakra from all over his body. Kaiten! He called out as he spun and encased himself in a large ball of spinning chakra. The clones were destroyed in moments. He's really pushing Neji into a corner, Ino said in disbelief. Go Naruto! Sakura cheered at seeing her teammate beating the Hyuga. I don't believe it, Izumo said, not believing what he was seeing. This kid, Kotetsu muttered under his breath as he watched Neji execute a Kaiten. That plan was worthy of a practical joke, Izumo said as he let a small grin form on his lips. Impressive, the Raikage commented as the Hokage smiled slightly. The boy thought up a plan almost instantly to throw off his opponent, he continued. Hiruzen nodded slightly at that. The boy continues to surprise me as well. The Kazekage remained silent as he kept his calculating eyes on the arena below. This guy, Yujito thought from the side as she watched the match. Do you see how you cannot change destiny? My fate is to win this match. You cannot stand against fate, Neji told him. Naruto remained silent, so he continued, I have had enough of your games. I shall end this now. He charged forward faster than Naruto could react. Hakuro Kujion Sho. The blonde genin couldn't help but stand there as he was battered by Neji's barrage of strikes. Every strike felt like he had been hit by hundreds of needles at once, and he soon found himself being sent flying back by Neji's final open palm strike to his chest. He coughed up some blood as his body hit the ground, and Neji smirked at his handiwork. It's over, the Hyuga progeny said in finality. He's done for. Izumo sighed at seeing the brutal attack. I guess I should have expected this outcome. Ino shook her head as she leaned back. Naruto, Sakura thought as she remembered what he had done in the preliminaries. He is a very entertaining boy, but he is still no match for a genius. The Kazekage spoke in slight amusement at seeing the blonde genin go down. Hiruzen remained silent as he sent a sideways glance at his fellow Kage. It's almost like he's referring to someone else. The Raikage didn't speak, instead opting to just watch. Somehow I doubt it's over. That was too easy. Proctor, call the match. He's not getting up, Neji stated confidently. Sadly, reality didn't agree with him. Naruto rose a moment later. He glowed red as an enormous amount of crimson chakra erupted from his body. Want a bet? How? Neji asked as he took a step back at seeing the red chakra. He focused in on its source and his eyes widened further. Was that a fox? Rasengan told me not to use the Rinnegan unless I had to. I guess I'll just have to stick with the furball's chakra, Naruto thought as the chakra encased his body in what looked like flames. He clenched his as he settled his gaze on his opponent. Now do you understand, bastard? I had you beat from the start. I just wanted you to show me your trump cards first so I knew what to expect. Neji's eyes widened at that. He had this plan from the start. He's a Jinchuriki, the Raikage spoke as he watched the match. Yes, I believe it's the Kyuubi, Yujito said barely above a whisper. This will be interesting. The Raikage smirked as he continued to watch. This chakra, when did he learn to control it in a stable form? Did Kakashi teach him this? Were the thoughts running through Hiruzen's head. The Kazekage continued to watch in silent anger. Naruto cocked his fist back and then threw it out at Neji. A moment later the air around his fist rippled and was propelled towards where Neji stood. The Hyuga progeny could barely dodge as the shockwave blew away the ground he had been standing on just moments ago. Just then Naruto shot forward faster than he had been before and Neji turned swiftly to intercept him. A moment later Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed, surprising Neji, and he couldn't turn in time to block the punch that connected with his face. He's faster than before. What's going on here? Neji thought as he recovered from the blow but couldn't stop the follow-up attacks that Naruto delivered one after another. I have to keep in close and not let him escape, Naruto thought as he delivered yet another punch to the young Hyuga's face. It's no good, Neji thought as he began to spin with chakra erupting from him. Kaiten! Naruto jumped away to avoid the boy's ultimate defense. You cannot defeat me. Fate will not allow it, he told the blonde. It may be the Hyuga way to cave into destiny, but it's not mine. If you believe that you can't change it, then don't try. Just stand there and take it. Naruto shouted as he threw out a punch Neji which sent a shockwave at him. Kaiten! The Hyuga progeny spun as he released a large amount of chakra. The shockwave slammed into his chakra barrier and was harmlessly deflected. What a fool. Direct assaults don't work on me. Now! Naruto shot forward faster than the average eye could see, and just as Neji powered down his jutsu, Naruto struck. You shouldn't let your guard down, the blonde shouted as he cocked his fist back. There's not enough time to use the Kaiten again. He had this planned. Neji's eyes widened as Naruto came within range. There was an echoing slam as Naruto's fist connected with Neji's unprotected face. The Hyuga progeny couldn't even register that he had been sent flying through the air before crashing hard into the stadium wall. He dropped out of the hole in the wall and collapsed on the ground a moment later. I am defeated, Neji thought as he tried to remain conscious. He looked up to see Naruto towering over his beaten form. I was careless. For the record, I failed the academy exam 3 times. Because unluckily for me there was always one jutsu on the exam. The Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto told him, making his eyes go wide. My clones were pathetic, they still are, he continued. Neji looked up at him surprised. But you, the reason I can't create regular clones is because I have too much chakra to make them. That's why I can create Jonin level shadow clones so easily. That's what you saw today, not my weaknesses but my strengths. Hinata is the same way. You always see her weaknesses but never her strengths for someone who is supposed to be able to see everything. You sure are blind, Naruto told him. Don't come to me with this destiny stuff because unlike me you're not a failure, he finished with a grin and turned away. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto, the examiner declared as he gestured towards the orange-clad blonde genin. Fire Country, Konoha/Chunin Exam Arena. He won! Sakura shouted and the crowd burst into cheers. How did he? I mean, did you see that? Ino asked as she saw Naruto walk off towards the exit with his arm held up high acknowledgement as he moved. Of course I did, Sakura told her as she saw Genma say a few words to Neji before the medics took him away. I can't believe the kid actually won, Izumo said as he watched. Kotetsu nodded at that. I can't believe he was able to use its chakra in a stable form. Who would teach him something like that though? Not everyone is able to actually teach someone how to control a power like that, Izumo asked. I don't know, but whoever it is did a hell of a job, Kotetsu stated as Naruto got back to the examinee's box. Yujito smirked like a cat as it stalks a mouse. He's not bad. The Raikage let a wry smile creep its way onto his face. He's interesting. A bit reckless, but if he's given enough training he could be a very formidable adversary. He kind of reminds me of them now that I think about it. Who, grandfather? Yujito asked him curiously. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, the Raikage whispered to her. Yujito looked at him wide-eyed. Wait, his surname is Uzumaki, you don't think that he... The Raikage chuckled slightly. I have never heard of a blonde-haired Uzumaki before, it makes you wonder. The others in the box however weren't paying any attention to them since they were already deep in their own thoughts. Very good Naruto-kun, you will definitely make Chunin if I have anything to say about it, the Hokage thought as he looked down on the competitor's box. That brat, I must make sure he dies today. He could become a problem for me in the future if I leave him alone, the Kazekage thought as he stared down on at the arena waiting for the next match to begin. In the stands a disguised Kabuto stood confused since his master had not given the signal to start the invasion by now. He had thought it was because Sasuke was not there so he could keep an eye on the boy, but now it was almost like his master was waiting for something. The genin cast his gaze towards where Naruto was talking to his Nara friend in the competitor's box, and narrowed his eyes. Orochimaru-sama must want you dead, Naruto-kun, if he's postponed the invasion, Kabuto thought. The next match was supposed to be between Uchiha Sasuke and Sabaku no Gaara. It turned out however that Sasuke hadn't shown up, so his match was pushed back to last, much to frustration of the other competitors, though each of them for different reasons. The next match was between Naro Shikamaru and Sabaku no Temari. Let's just say it was mostly one-sided. Shikamaru had thought up multiple strategies on top of strategies and finally managed to catch Temari in his shadow jutsu, which rendered her practically defeated. He of course forfeited a moment later, saying it was too troublesome to continue. The match after that was supposed to be between Aburame Shino and Sabaku no Kankuro. That didn't happen however. Kankuro had forfeited before the match even began, and almost instantly Shino and Shikamaru knew something was up. Shino discreetly drained Temari and Kankuro of chakra, though his bugs refused to go near Gaara for some reason. Apparently his chakra was foul by bug standards. The final match of the quarterfinals finally began however between Uchiha Sasuke and Sabaku no Gaara. Sasuke had arrived just in time, though at the very last second after being given another 5 minutes to arrive, with Kakashi. By now Naruto, Shikamaru and Shino had come up to the stands and had met up with their friends. It turns out that Hinata had been healed by some Umbu that was in the stadium during Naruto's match with Neji. Hey Naruto, Kakashi said as he approached his blonde student. Naruto looked over his shoulder and greeted him. Hey Kakashi-sensei, how are you? The copy nin nodded as they turned their attention towards the match. I'm alright. I'm sorry I couldn't train you for the finals, Naruto, but I had other matters to attend to. Naruto nodded as he clenched his fists. Yeah, like teaching Sasuke cool jutsus, I bet. Kakashi looked saddened for a moment before saying, Hey now Naruto, I didn't. Chidori. Sasuke called out from the arena as his fist was engulfed in lightning. You were saying, Naruto growled under his breath. He needed it in order to effectively fight Gaara, Kakashi said, trying to defend himself as he saw his prized student move to attack a ball of sand that Gaara was now encased in. Head, Naruto chuckled slightly. What's so funny? Kakashi asked with a raised eyebrow. It's funny because even with that new jutsu of his, he won't win, Naruto said with an almost darkened chuckle. Why is it that you believe that? The copy nin asked as his eyes narrowed. Naruto shot him a small smirk. Because he's fighting a demon container, we're not easily beaten by a thing like that. Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise as he saw Sasuke was forced to back off after he landed his Chidori attack. Sand erupted from the sphere that protected Gaara and began to batter the weakened Sasuke, much to the shock of the crowd. Just as Gaara was about to deal the finishing blow, Kakashi jumped down and retrieved his student as Genma called the match. After Kakashi laid Sasuke down in the stands next to a now tearful Sakura, Gaara called out to the stands, "Come out, Uzumaki Naruto. Mother wants your blood." The stadium fell silent at the proclamation. Before the sound of footsteps could be heard, Naruto had turned and begun moving towards the stairs. Naruto! You can't seriously be thinking of fighting that monster, are you? Look at what he did to Sasuke-kun! Sakura shouted in disbelief. Naruto just chuckled with his back towards her and the rest of the rookie nine, as they were called. A monster? How, you have no idea. He just kept walking and made to pass his sensei. Naruto, you should forfeit. Gaara is not an ordinary shinobi. Even I would be hard-pressed to defeat him, Kakashi told him truthfully. Naruto just shook his head and passed by his sensei in a heartbeat. I can't do that, sensei, I can feel it, he's someone like me, I have to find out which one of us chose the right path. Alright then, good luck, the copy Nin whispered as he watched his blonde student head down the stairs. Was that really such a good idea, Kakashi? Asuma asked him with a raised eyebrow. Watch this match carefully and you'll find out the answer, was all Kakashi said as he turned his attention back down to the arena floor. Naruto reached and walked out on the arena floor while keeping his eyes on his opponent. The red-haired boy had a crazed look on his face which described his anger at not being allowed to kill the Uchiha in his last match. Naruto wouldn't admit it, but he was actually afraid of Gaara for the sheer power he possessed and the fact that he would kill anyone who caught his interest. Gaara was holding his head slightly with one hand and the other was clutching the closing wound that Sasuke had done to him during the last match. Sasuke really did a number on this guy, Naruto mused as he saw the wound. Begin! Genma called out as he jumped away from the two fighters. Almost immediately Gaara sent a large cluster of sand at Naruto at high speeds which Naruto tried to dodge as it came at him. He rolled under another line of sand and jumped onto the side of the arena wall while using chakra to stick to it. Enough dodging, Naruto thought as he jumped off of the wall to avoid another cluster of sand from pummeling him. He made a hand seal and immediately 7 clones popped into existence beside him. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Hold still, Uzumaki Naruto, Gaara said, crazed as he unleashed a wave of sand upon the clones. Ryusa Bakuryu, he called out as he attacked. The clones were wiped out in a matter of seconds, but so was Naruto as well, leaving the arena barren beside himself. Come out, Uzumaki Naruto. 3 clones appeared around him and attacked one at a time. The first was stabbed with a lance of sand, the second was cut in half and the last was slammed down onto the ground. It all happened in a matter of seconds, but it was just a distraction and a test of sorts. A moment later Gaara turned only for Naruto to appear and deliver a solid punch to the Snow Nin's face. Gaara grunted as he flew back several feet before skidding slightly and regaining his balance. He was testing how long it takes my sand to move. A crack had formed on his cheek which signified that the layer of sand that protected his body had been hit. This guy, how do I beat him? While I got friends who helped with my loneliness, he remained alone all this time, Naruto thought as he stared at his opponent. Only then can you be truly strong. The distant memory echoed through his mind and his eyes hardened. What did he say? I can't remember, he growled in thought, and watched as Gaara began to laugh. Now what? Gaara laughter grew as sand began to creep up his body and engulfed him. It consumed him as his chaotic laughter echoed through the stadium until the sand took the shape of a raccoon with diamond-like eyes. You're interesting, Uzumaki Naruto, Gaara roared as he jumped towards the blonde. What is this feeling? Naruto thought as he felt anxiety, dread and also excitement. Was it? He didn't know. What he did know, however, was that every part of him was screaming to fight and win. He jumped back as Gaara crashed down on where he was standing a moment ago. For some reason I don't want to lose to this guy. What's he doing? He's a sitting duck, Kiba growled as he watched the match. I am unsure, Shino commented, puzzled also. He's trying to find a reason to fight, Kakashi explained to the assembled group. A reason? What good will that do? Kiba asked, surprised. The copy Nin sighed and shook his head. If you were in his position, what would you fight for? Well, the Inuzuka Genin thought about it for a moment before answer. Well, I guess my family and friends. I mean, I wouldn't want to let them down or nothing. Exactly. Naruto is the same way, but in this case he doesn't really have a reason to fight, and so can't win against Gaara as he is now, Kakashi finished. What about Neji then? He beat Neji in the first round, so he must have a reason, Ino spoke up. Kakashi sighed with a nod. His reason for that was most likely for Hinata-san back in the preliminaries. Hey, take a look. He's fighting back again, Sakura said, catching their attention. Watch this match carefully, you're about to see exactly what Naruto is capable of, Kakashi said with a grin under his mask, surprising the assembled Genin and Jonin. What does he mean by that? The Genin asked in thought. Do you have someone precious to you? I understand now, Naruto whispered as he stood up. When a person has something they want to protect, that's when they become truly strong. I've been seeing his face since this fight started, but I couldn't seem to remember what he said or who he was. Now I know, though I will not lose to you, Naruto shouted as he started making hand seals as fast as he could. Come on, I just need to summon one of the lower toads, he thought as he slammed his open palm down on the ground. Kuchios no Jutsu, called out as a small red toad appeared in front of him. Hey bro, you must be Naruto. I've been told about you, the toad spoke. Gaara laughed at the sight and crossed his arms. This is what you bring forth to aid you. Pathetic. Suna shuriken. He let loose a volley of sand at him in the shape of a cluster of shuriken. Hold on, Naruto shouted as he grabbed a hold of the toad and jumped to avoid the volley. He grunted in pain as 3 of the sand shurikens grazed his shoulder and leg. Damn, you okay, bro? The toad asked, slightly worried. Naruto just chuckled in response since his wounds had already healed. I'm just fine, stay out of trouble until I need you. Run and hide, I gotcha. The name's Gamakichi, just so you know. Gamakichi did a mock salute and jumped away towards the nearby tree. Alright, you playtime's over, Naruto said as crimson chakra erupted from his body and engulfed him in what appeared to be flames. Let's go wild. Well, at least we know who trained him, Kakashi said as he grinned under his mask. Of course only Jiraiya-sama could have to summon toads and control that chakra, he finished. Guy nodded at his side, having assumed his thinking pose, even so to actually be able to use it in a stable form. Asuma nodded. Everyone from Konoha is in shock at seeing him wield it like this. That's 2 trump cards he's used in this match. That chakra and his summoning, I wonder if he's got anything else, Kakashi mused as he watched the 2 fighters charge at one another. Not likely, Kotetsu said from the side. Kakashi just grinned under his mask. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure of that. Still, I wonder why Jiraiya-sama would teach a genin, let alone him of all people, Asuma wondered aloud. Kakashi narrowed his eyes at the man for a second. Naruto is no ordinary child. We are aware of that, Kakashi-san, Kurenai stated. Kakashi just shook his head. No, you aren't. There are things about Naruto that no one in Konoha can understand. Things that are far bigger than the burden he carries and would shake this village to its very foundations. He fell silent, allowing the other jonin to think about what he had said. The small shockwave blew Gaara back, but he landed in a crouch and recovered in moments. A second later, Naruto appeared in front of him and landed a kick to his sand-covered head. He slammed hard into the arena wall, leaving a small crater in his wake. Almost instantly, Naruto was in front of him again and punched him into the wall with his red chakra-covered fist. Dust shot out from where they stood when he landed the blow, but it cleared just as fast. Naruto grabbed Gaara's sand tail and swung him round before slamming him into the wall again with even greater force. After a few more seconds passed, Naruto was blown back by Gaara's large sand claw and landed sprawled at the base of the nearby tree. Bro? Gamakichi asked as he saw his summoner stand up. I'm fine, he's tough, Naruto told him as he saw Gaara stand up also. Ha ha. Gaara laugh echoed throughout the stadium as sand began to gather around him. You amuse me, Uzumaki Naruto. He continued to laugh as the sand engulfed him in a column of sorts. Now what is he doing? Naruto asked in thought before the column of sand suddenly exploded upwards and outwards. Damn, he thought as he scrambled for cover. After the dust settled, he stepped out from behind the tree he had used with Gamakichi now resting on his head. Well shit. Where Gaara once stood now stood a 40-foot-tall tanuki made of sand. This just got a lot harder. Bro? How do you plan on beating this guy? Gamakichi asked him nervously. I'm working on it. Fire Country. Konoha/Chunin Exam Arena. What the hell is that? Ino asked in a shout as she saw most of the higher-ranking ninja around them looking like they were having a panic attack. That is a demon, Kakashi said simply. What? Ino asked in fear. It's the Ichibi no Tanuki, also known as Suna no Shikaku, Guy explained further. It's one of the Biju, albeit the weakest of the 9, with Kyubi being the strongest, Asuma told the genin. This battle has just risen to a whole other level, Kakashi stated as he looked down towards his blonde student. Dobe Sasuke thought, having regained consciousness. Naruto Sakura thought worriedly. Shouldn't we stop this? Kurenai asked the other jonin. Kakashi however shook his head. No, let's see how this plays out. So they are both Jinchuriki, interesting. I wonder what level they are both currently at. The Reikage mused upon seeing the giant sand tanuki. I think they're on my level, grandfather. Judging by how they're fighting right now, Yujito commented. The Reikage nodded in agreement. They are both on the Chunin level normally, but when they access their inner powers like this, they look to be on the Jonin level. What should we do, grandfather? The Kyumo Chunin asked him. Nothing yet, he answered as he returned his attention to the match. Beside him, the Hokage watched in interest, having not expected this outcome. Suna sent a Jinchuriki into the exam. I wonder why. Especially one with such a poor containment seal. It's almost like they were planning to use him for something, but what? No, this isn't going like I had planned at all, the Kazekage thought angrily as he watched the match progress. Have you got a plan, bro? Gamakichi asked hopefully. Naruto nodded as he bit his thumb and started making hand seals. Just one, it will take all of Kyubi's chakra I currently have to use though, he added mentally as he finished. He slammed his open palm down on the ground and called out, Kuchios no Jutsu. There was a sudden explosion of smoke from where he was standing, and the next thing he knew, he was standing on a 40-foot toad he knew all too well. Gamabunta, the boss of the toads. He had of course drained every last bit of Kyubi's chakra he possessed to do it without harming himself, which left him a bit drained physically, but he still had his normal chakra reserves left, so he wasn't complaining. What the hell is that? Kiba asked upon seeing the giant toad in samurai robes with a large dagger at his side. That is the boss toad, Gamabunta. I never thought I'd see him again, Kakashi said surprised. That last time he has been seen by anyone from Konoha was 12 years ago on the night the Yondaime Hokage defeated the Kyubi no Kitsune, Asuma explained to the genin. Really? Sakura asked, having never read about that detail. Grandfather, isn't that Yujito began? Yes, the Reikage interrupted. No genin should have the chakra till she tried to finish. I know, he interrupted again, already knowing what she was going to say. Jiraiya Dano definitely has been teaching this boy. Naruto-kun Yuharuzen trailed off in thought upon seeing the giant toad. This damned brat, the Kazekage was seething at the sight, unnoticed to the other occupants of the booth. The two large creatures had all but taken up all of the room in the stadium with only a small, by their standards, gap between them. The toad poofed his smoking pipe and looked up to the figure that stood on his head. The one that reminded him of his previous summoner. Not you again, boy. What do you want? Gamabunta asked, annoyed. Naruto looked down into his eyes with a look of disbelief. Do you not see the giant tanuki in front of you? Gamabunta turned his gaze towards the monstrous sand creature and narrowed his eyes. That's Shikaku. I need your help, Naruto said simply as he looked over at where Shikaka stood with Gaara now visibly standing on top of it. And what makes you think I'll help you fight him of all things? The last time I fought a Biju I received this scar on my eye, Gamabunta told him. Oh come on Pops, don't be like that. Help the kid out would ya? Gamakichi asked from on Naruto's head. Pops? Wait, you two are father and son? Why have I heard none of this? The blonde genin asked surprised. And what are you doing here Gamakichi? Gamabunta inquired when he saw the toad that was his son. Well I came out to play a while back but that guy over there started bullying me, Gamakichi answered as he pointed towards the giant sand demon. What? Gamabunta droned as he drew his dagger. Alright boy, I'll help you out this once but you owe me a drink, the toad boss said and Naruto nodded in understanding. As for you Gamabunta took 2 steps forward surprisingly quickly considering his size and sliced Shikaka's right arm clean off. No one attacks my son and gets away with it, he shouted as he backed off to avoid the counterattack and the sand arm dissolved. Ha ha! Gaara laughed insanely as he made a hand seal. You amuse me Uzumaki Naruto but your entertainment has come to an end. Tanuki Nairi no Jutsu. His body fell unconscious in a matter of seconds as Shikaka's eyes sparked with life. Ha ha! Shikaka's laughter echoed throughout the stadium scaring the crowd and everyone else. That's the demon? Naruto asked in disbelief at seeing the clearly mad Tanuki. Gamabunta simply stared impassively. Yes. That's Shikaku. He was always the craziest of the Biju. Believe it, Naruto said weakly as Shikaku's gaze settled on them. Oh goody, my first victims. Shikaku chuckled and inhaled a large amount of air. Kid, we're going to jump, Gamabunta told him. What? Naruto asked surprised only to find that the toad boss had jumped high into the air. Futon, Rankuden. Shikaku bellowed as he exhaled a large ball of concentrated wind at where the toad boss had stood just moments ago. The blast exploded with tremendous force through the wall which immediately leveled it. You won't escape. He shouted crazed as tracked them and launched another attack. Futon, Rankuden, boss. Naruto shouted upon seeing the 3 monstrous attacks coming at them. I see them. Suetun, Teppadama no Jutsu. Gamabunta called out as he released 2 condensed blasts of water downwards. Is this a fight or a storm? Ino shouted as the 2 attacks collided and sent water spraying everywhere like it was raining. Go Naruto! Sakura cheered seeing her teammate winning. Damn it looks like they missed one, Kiba growled as they all saw one of the wind balls continue on towards the toad boss high in the sky. Well this is turning into quite the battle, the Raikage commented upon seeing the attacks the 2 were throwing at each other. Who do you think will win grandfather? Yujito asked him. The Raikage remained silent but the smirk remained on his face as he returned his attention to the fight. You missed one boss. Naruto shouted as he saw the wind blast coming towards them at high velocity. Damn, Gamabunta grunted knowing there was nothing he could do. This isn't going to be pretty, Gamakichi said as he covered his eyes. Time suddenly seemed to freeze for a moment as Naruto closed his eyes and breathed slowly. He slowly opened his eyes having sent chakra to them and they now looked like they had rings around the pupils and turned the color gray. Time returned to normal as he pointed his hand down towards the wind attack and whispered 2 simple words. Shinra Tensei. Almost immediately the wind bullet dissipated into nothingness and Gamabunta fell back towards the ground. He landed in a crouch at the other end of the stadium and grinned as he looked up at his summoner. Naruto stood firm on the toad boss head with his eyes glowing slightly gray and his jacket was now open and swishing slightly in the wind just like his previous summoner. Those eyes Shikaka shook slightly upon seeing them. The Rinnegan, he growled out no longer amused. What happened? Ino asked confused. What's up with Naruto's eyes? Kiba asked as he tried to get a better look at them. He's using chakra in his eyes, Hinata stuttered out. Why? Sakura asked confused. That's the Kakashi eyes widened as he heard what the sand demon had said. The Rinnegan, the first Ijitsu and has only ever belonged to the first shinobi. The Rikudo Sannin and the man who founded the shinobi world, Asuma explained just as surprised as everyone else. Wait, you're saying the Dobe has a bloodline? Kiba asked looked between the jonin. Apparently so, Kakashi answered trying to calm himself. Why wasn't I told? Dobe Sasuke's eyes narrowed in anger at this little piece of information. What is that grandfather? Yujito asked as she looked where Naruto stood on Gamabunta's head. That is the Rinnegan, an extremely powerful Dijitsu and I think it is the reason my brother asked me to attend this little event. He did say he felt something unusual coming from Konoha now I know what he meant, the Raikage explained. There's no doubt about it. That's the Rinnegan but how is that possible? Neither Minato-kun nor Kushina-chan had it so why does Naruto-kun have it? 100 thoughts and questions ran through the Hokage's head as he tried to understand what was happening. How can that failure have that Dijitsu? I cannot let him live. He could very well become an even bigger annoyance than pain, the Kazekage thought angrily as he weighed his options. Believe it, Naruto grinned as did Gamabunta and Gamakichi. Yeah. The young toad cheered and jumped off the boy's head as his father dashed forward and crossed the stadium in a matter of seconds. They took up most of it. Shikaku raised his one arm and made to backhand the oncoming toad when he suddenly found his left sand arm blown off of his body. Shinra Tensei. Naruto called out having used his gravity manipulation to destroy the arm. He panted slightly having used up most of his chakra reserves doing so many high-ranking jutsu plus accessing Kyuubi's chakra. Grab him now. Right. Gamabunta shouted in acknowledgement, and proceeded to grab onto Shikaku's shoulders. Go! Naruto jumped towards where Gaara stood unconscious on the sand creature's head. Wakey wakey! Naruto called out as he landed a solid punch to the unprotected redhead's face. Rise and shine. He slid down the Tanuki's nose as Gaara seemed to shake for a moment. Wake up, you bastard! Gaara's eyes snapped open and he immediately glared at the blonde for waking him. You had enough yet? Naruto asked as he suddenly started to move again. Not so fast. Gaara bellowed as sand shot up trying to encase Naruto. Shit, Naruto thought as he raised both of his hands in opposite directions. Shinra Tensei! Her called out as the sand was blasted away with pure gravity. He continued running up towards where Gaara stood while dodging the spears of sand that were sent at him. I have to get in close or I'm dead. Hold still! Roared the Ichibi Jinchuriki as the entire Shikaku body tried to break free of Gamabunta's hold. Hurry up, kid! I can't hold him for long, Gamabunta grunted as he tried to hold on. My existence will not end here! Gaara shouted as Naruto jumped up towards where he was located. Shinra Tensei! He called out as he blasted the sand away that tried to intercept him and landed yet another solid punch to the Snow Nin's unprotected face. Got you! He grinned as the sand tanuki started to crack around them before finally it all fell down and dissolved. We'll be going now, kid, come on Gamakichi, Gamabunta said before he and his son disappeared in a large poof of smoke. The two shinobi touched down on the now sand-covered ground and sluggishly they both climbed to their feet. Gaara raised his hand towards Naruto and had the sand at the blonde's feet surround him. Sabakaku, he clamped his fist together and called out, Sabaka Soso, Shinra Tensei! Naruto shouted as he blasted the sand away from him along the rest of the sand within a 20-feet radius. Those eyes won't help you here! Gaara shouted in anger, as he charged forward having expended the last of his chakra. Naruto swung his arm out towards him and shouted, Shinra Tensei! Gaara immediately found himself being pulled backwards by an invisible force crashed through the nearby tree which surprisingly had remained standing throughout the clash between the two giants from before. Gaara tried to stand but couldn't find the strength to do so and collapsed onto the ground unable to move. Are you done yet? Naruto asked, exhaustion clear in his voice. My existence won't be extinguished. I won't allow it. The Ichibi Jinchuriki cried out almost terrified as Naruto slowly and sluggishly made his way towards him. The pain of being alone, it's not trivial, I understand, but I won't allow you to hurt those that are important to me, Naruto told him as looked down at the fallen Snow Nin. Why do you go so far for others? Gaara asked, not understanding. Because they saved me from my own darkness. Someone once told me when a person has something they want to protect, that's when they become truly strong, Naruto answered truthfully. Gaara simply stared at him for a moment before he said, I see I cannot win. Genma approached the two and upon hearing Gaara's declaration held up his hand to where Naruto stood. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto, he won! Chuji cried out happily and the crowd burst into cheers around him. He actually went and did it, Ino commented in disbelief at her side. Nice one, Naruto! Kiba cheered at seeing his friend's victory. Naruto-kun, Hinata smiled down at where the blonde stood. He won? Yujito asked, not believing her eyes. He actually won? She let a smile grace her features as she stared down the boy. Why, Yujito-chan, if I didn't know any better I would say you had a crush on the young lad, the Reikage commented innocently. Don't be ridicule's grandfather, Yujito stuttered in protest as her cheeks turned slightly red. You're blushing, the Reikage teased. I am not, she said forcefully. Well, I hope you get used to the idea of working with him because if my plan works out you will be seeing a lot more of him. The Reikage smirked, making her look at him in confusion. Well done, Naruto-kun, though I have to wonder why the Rinnegan would be awakened in you, thought the man who was nicknamed the God of Shinobi. I must begin the attack now, the Kazekage thought frantically. Naruto swayed slightly but was caught by a red blur which he quickly recognized as Jiraiya of the Sannin. Great work, kid. Keep this up and you'll reach your dream in no time at all, spoke the Gama-sennin confidently. Ero-sennin? Naruto asked weakly as his eyes closed. Jiraiya nodded as he laid his godson down on the ground to avoid injury. Sleep now, kid. You earned it. Moments later, though, a large purple barrier went up around the roof of the Kage's booth and a genjutsu fell upon the stadium. This marked the beginning of what later became the Suna/Oto invasion as a combined attack force of Oto and Suna Nins launched a strike on the village hidden in the leaves. Fire country, Konoha/hospital. Naruto groaned as the morning sun shone through the open window. He sat up with another groan and rubbed his tired eyes before checking his surroundings. The room was white and he knew from experience that it was the hospital. Even if the villagers didn't physically hurt him, he was still an orphan and used to get injured at times. You're awake, brat. That's good, a voice said from the window and he turned his head swiftly towards it. Ero-sennin, Naruto said cheerfully. What are you doing here? To see you, of course. What? Didn't think I'd stop by and see how my student was doing? Jiraiya asked with mock hurt. Naruto grumbled at that. I bet you'd rather be off peeking though. Jiraiya grinned but his expression suddenly saddened. True. But I can't right now. Tell me, what is the last thing you remember, Naruto? Naruto rested a hand on his head before answering. I remember that I beat Gaara, but then it's a blank. That's when you passed out from exhaustion, Jiraiya told him. Nice work with the Kuchios no Jutsu, by the way, though I wish you didn't use it in the middle of the stadium. Be glad no one was hurt because you'd be in a cell right now instead of a hospital bed, Jiraiya told him. Sorry, Naruto said weakly. Don't worry about it. You got off lucky, said the Gamma Sannin. He shook his head before he continued, that jutsu of yours. What did you call it? Shinra Tensei? Naruto nodded at that. That's easily an S-rank jutsu and an extremely powerful one at that. I have an S-rank jutsu? Believe it, Naruto said with a grin. Jiraiya however had other ideas on the matter. You weren't able to control it properly though. I was watching you at the end. Your gravity manipulation still needs some work. Naruto nodded saddened. I know. The Gamma Sannin sighed at that. We'll work on that later. Maybe we can work on attracting objects instead of blowing everything away like you've been doing. Who won by the way? Naruto asked knowing that he couldn't have continued fighting in the condition he was in. No one. Konoha was almost destroyed right after your match, the Gamma Sannin told him. Naruto's eyes widened at that. What do you mean almost destroyed? What happened? Suna and Ota launched a combined attack on Konoha right after your match finished. We won and beat them back before they did too much damage, but there were casualties, Jiraiya said grimly. Who died? Naruto rarely stuttered but he couldn't help it. My former sensei the Sandaime Hokage, answered the Gamma Sannin. The old man is damn it. Naruto clenched his fists as images of the man he had thought of as a grandfather flashed through his mind. How did he was interrupted swiftly. It was my traitorous teammate Orochimaru. He killed Sarutobi-sensei with the aid of his Oto Nins, Jiraiya answered already knowing what he was going to ask. He'll pay for that, Naruto told him. Jiraiya nodded in understanding. His time will come but not right now. So what do we do now? Naruto asked wondering where they would go from here. Well, I'm heading out to find an old friend of mine. Her name's Tsunade. The council wants her to become the Godaime Hokage, Jiraiya said with a sigh. A new Hokage. Naruto trailed off not knowing his thoughts on the matter. I'm also taking you along Chunin Uzumaki, Jiraiya added with a grin. Naruto's eyes widened at what he had said. I made Chunin? Jiraiya nodded in confirmation. You defeated the Tsunade Jinchuriki before a planned invasion. Of course you made Chunin, kid. Thank you, Naruto said with a smile. You don't have to thank me, kid, the Gamma Sannin told him and turned his head towards the door. Knock knock. The door opened slightly and Ino poked her head into the room. Can we come in? Yes, we're done here. I was just leaving anyhow, Jiraiya told her, and she opened the door revealing the entirety of the Konoha 12 as they were dubbed, and their sensei. Jiraiya turned his attention back to his student and said over his shoulder. I'll talk to you later, Naruto. Meet me at the southern gates after the funeral tomorrow. Naruto nodded as he left. I'll see you then. Hey Naruto, who was the old guy? Kiba asked him as he looked at where the old guy had gone. My new sensei. He's really strong too. He took out a Jonin in one attack and didn't even look like he was trying, Naruto answered remembering his first encounter with the man. That was Jiraiya-sama, Asuma stated. You did great, man. You totally kicked Gaara's ass, Kiba said with barely controlled glee. Yeah, well, I don't think I could have done it without help, Naruto said truthfully. Yeah, what's up with your eyes anyways? I never knew you had a bloodline. Kiba asked the question on everyone's minds. Well, I don't know really. I mean, I'm an orphan and I've never known who my parents are, so I don't know how I got it, Naruto answered honestly. Now that I think about it, you don't really talk about yourself much, Naruto, Shikamaru commented, raising some eyebrows from the assembled group. I mean, you always brag about how you're going to be Hokage, but I've never once heard you brag about something you've actually done. You didn't even brag about what you did to the Hokage monument a while back, he explained. I don't know what you mean, Naruto said, simply wanting to get off this subject. You're not even bragging about how you beat Gaara and made Chunin, Shikamaru deadpan, stopping whatever anyone was going to say. Why you made Chunin? Ino asked astonished. Not even Sasuke-kun had made Chunin yet. Yeah, Naruto replied nervously. Congrats, man, Kiba said as he patted the bedridden boy. How did you know, Shikamaru? I mean, only Jonin and above know who was promoted, Kurenai asked the young Nara with a knowing smile. Shikamaru sighed defeated. I heard about it when I found out I was promoted to Chunin also. Ah, really? Ino asked surprised, though considering the amount of forethought he'd done in his match against Temari it shouldn't be a surprise. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered. Let's go celebrate, Kiba said as he stood up straight. Off in the corner, Naruto's teammates Haruno Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke each had their own thoughts on the matter. How could the Dobe have gotten so much power? How could he have a Dijutsu that was able to defeat Gaara where even my Sharingan wasn't enough? What have I been doing all this time? Were Sasuke's thoughts as he looked on Naruto's smiling face. Sasuke-kun, Sakura thought worriedly as she looked over her crush. The next day the funeral was held for all of the ninja who fell during the Suna/Oto invasion, including the kind and strong Sandaime Hokage. It was a tearful ceremony for all who attended it, and even the sky wept for the loss of a great man. Finally it ended, however, and the sky cleared as everyone slowly left. Naruto reached the southern gates of the village and came across a rather unusual sight. Jiraiya was standing next to a girl, a 13-year-old girl to be precise. Hey Sannin, I didn't take you for a pedophile. I thought that was the Hibi team's area, Naruto said with a grin. Jiraiya looked indignant at that. I am not a pedophile brat. This little missy right here is from Kumo. She's going to be coming with us. Naruto stared at her for a few seconds before asking, why? Apparently she's the new ambassador to Konoha, the Gamma Sannin explained. Again, why? Naruto asked, not understanding. The girl looked annoyed at this, though. When Jiraiya saw the look on her face, he almost mistook her for a miniature Tsunade. Her long blonde hair hung around her head and was tucked out of the way of her face. She wore a dark purple outfit which surprisingly fit her perfectly, and if he were to be honest with himself, if she put on Tsunade's clothes she would look just like the woman, only younger. Do you have a problem with this? It's not like I want to be here, idiot, the girl grumbled. What did you call me? Naruto said as he narrowed his eyes. I called you an idiot. Why? What are you going to do about it? The Kumo Chunin asked with a grin. Before Naruto could retort, however, Jiraiya spoke up. She's also the Raikage's granddaughter. Her name is Yatsuki ni Yujuto. Yujuto looked smug for a second as she thought, now that he's heard who I'm related to, he'll act just like the rest. Naruto paused for a second before he scowled. I don't care if she's his grandmother. She shouldn't be here. I thought it was just going to be the two of us, Jiraiya-sensei. Yujuto's eyes widened in surprise at what he had said. What did he just dash? Jiraiya shook his head and turned to leave. Sorry, brat, but she's coming with us. Damn it. Like things can't get worse, Naruto grumbled as he followed. Hey, wait up! Yujuto called after them. After a good half a day walking, the three stopped to set up camp for the night, or should I say Jiraiya and Naruto were setting up camp. Yujuto had disappeared an hour earlier. I thought you were going to teach me a new jutsu, not walk all day, Naruto grumbled under his breath as he tried to get a campfire started. Naruto, come here, Jiraiya spoke up from the trees. Naruto moved, followed his sensei into the trees, and eventually came across what looked like rocks. Giant boulders littered the clearing, all of which looked like they had all been cut pretty deeply. What is this? Naruto asked. This is all the work of our new friend Yujuto-san, Jiraiya told him seriously, and nodded his head towards where said Kunoichi lay unconscious. She passed out from exhaustion a few minutes ago, he explained. She's strong, Naruto muttered as he surveyed the damage. Yes, she is. She's the Nibi Jinchuriki, Jiraiya stated. You've mentioned that word before. What does Jinchuriki mean? Naruto asked, having never heard the word before. It literally means power of the human sacrifice, but it really is a classification. It usually applies to those that have demons sealed inside of them like you, answered the Sannin. Right, Naruto whispered weakly. So she's just like me? He asked. Jiraiya nodded before saying, yes, she is. I'm going to teach you two jutsus. Both of them are A-rank jutsus. You're going to teach me now? Asked the Konoha Chunin. Jiraiya nodded again. I also want you to work on trying to reverse your control on gravity. Try to attract objects instead of blasting them away. The first jutsu I'm going to teach you is a jutsu created by my former student. He wanted you to have it, and I hear Kakashi was planning on teaching it to you when you made Chunin anyways, so this works out perfectly. Who wanted me to have it? Naruto asked, confused. My former student, the Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato, replied the Sannin. Naruto's eyes widened at that. He wanted me to. Watch carefully, Jiraiya told him as he held out his hand and started to spin a large amount of chakra in its palm. It became visible within moments, and condensed into a perfect ball of power. A moment later he slammed it into a tree, causing it to explode outwards, destroying the tree and sending shockwaves behind it. This jutsu is called the Rasengan. Cool, was all Naruto could say. It is extremely difficult to learn, however. It took the Yondaime 3 years to create, and I myself took a year to learn it. Do not be surprised if you are unable to master it straight away, Jiraiya told. Naruto just grinned. I'll have it done in a month. That's a promise. Are you serious? Jiraiya asked with a raised eyebrow. He grinned when he saw his apprentice nod. Good luck then. What's the other jutsu you're going to teach me? Naruto asked him, hoping for another powerful one like the last. Jiraiya trailed off as his eyes hardened. I wasn't really planning on teaching you this one, but with another Jinchuriki on this mission I can't help but want to be prepared for anything, so he made several hand seals and held out his left hand. Gojo Fuin, he spoke as his 5 fingertips were engulfed in purple flames with kanji visible on them. This jutsu was specifically designed to disable Jinchuriki. If it is applied to a Jinchuriki seal, then their Biju's power will be closed off to them, the Sannin explained. So you're teaching me this one because Naruto trailed off as he looked over at Yujuto's unconscious form. It's just a precaution just in case she decides to try something, Jiraiya told him. He then walked over to the girl and picked her up. Come on. We should get back to camp. Right, Naruto nodded in understanding and followed his sensei, but he couldn't stop taking his eyes off of the girl's sleeping face. She's cute, what the hell am I saying? I like Sakura-chan, don't I? Fire Country, Shakuba Town. It had been 2 weeks since they had left Konoha, and they had made a stop at a town 10 kilometers from Konoha. Currently Jiraiya was off somewhere in the town contacting his spy network, though Naruto and Yujuto just thought he was off peeping again. Speaking of our two favorite blondes, they both were currently in the hotel room they had booked and discussing the Oto/Suna assault on Konoha 2 weeks ago, among other things. Wait, you saw me beat Gaara? Naruto asked the Snow Nin from his position on the bed. Yujuto nodded. Yeah, I saw it. You were reckless and downright stupid for summoning Gamabunta of all things to fight in a Chunin exam stadium. You're just lucky no one was hurt by your attacks or his. Don't I know it, Naruto muttered darkly. Yujuto just stared at him for a few seconds before turning away. Though you did look kinda cool out there. Really? Naruto looked up surprised. Yujuto just snorted at his tone. Don't let it go to your head, idiot. What about you? Naruto asked and laughed nervously. I mean, Rasengan said you were like me and Gaara. He continued. There's not much to say really, I'm an only child. My parents are long dead and my grandfather and granduncle have raised me since I was 6, Yujito answered. No, I meant about the whole Jin, I can't remember what it is again. Naruto groaned in annoyance, unable to find the right word. Jinchuriki, Yujito corrected him. Yeah, that. I mean from what I saw of Gaara. He was brought up to be a weapon for his village. I was used to stop a demon from destroying my home. What about you? Naruto asked, curious. Yujito laughed bitterly for a moment. Me? My parents had a lot of enemies, so my father decided to give me a weapon of sorts to defend myself. He knew I wouldn't survive long since I was their daughter, so he sacrificed himself to give me the power needed to fight on. Naruto smiled sadly at that. He must have cared for you a lot then. But I never even got the chance to meet him, Yujito muttered. Hey, he said, getting her attention. At least you know why you were chosen, and you know your parents loved you. That's what matters, Naruto told her. Yujito was about to respond when, knock knock, there was a knock on the door. Rasengan can have been rejected already, Naruto grumbled, standing up. He stopped suddenly, however, and stared at the door. Rinnegan, is something wrong, idiot? Yujito asked in annoyance. Naruto took a step back. Either my Rinnegan is acting funny or something's wrong here. What do you mean? Yujito asked, seeing that he had his eyes activated. According to my eyes, Sasuke is on the other side of the door, Naruto told her as he saw the 2 chakra networks. Your teammate? Here? Why? Yujito asked, confused. That's the problem. From what I'm seeing, this guy's a lot bigger than the Sasuke I know. Whoever's on the other side of that door is not Sasuke, Naruto responded. Knock knock. Well, whoever it is, I don't think they're leaving anytime soon, Yujito said as she slowly approached the door and drew a kunai. She opened the door slowly and took a step back at who she found standing there. Oh no. So these are the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Kitsune and the Nibi no Nikomata. I expected more from them, said a tall blue-skinned man who looked similar to a shark and had a massive zanpato. He looks just like Sasuke. Naruto trailed off as he looked the 2 over. Yujito tensed and said, I recognize them from the bingo book. They're S-rank criminals. The blue one is Hashigaki Kisame. He's a member of the 7 shinobi swordsmen of the Hidden Mist and said to be the second strongest of them all. The other, though, he's a Nukenin from Konoha. He's the man who slaughtered the Uchiha clan in a single night, Uchiha Itachi. Naruto's eyes widened at that. Uchiha? You will both have to come with us, Naruto-kun, Yujito-chan, Itachi said in monotone. That's not happening, Yujito growled at him. I'll just cut off their legs so they can't escape, Kisame said, stepping forward and bring his sword down on where Yujito was standing. Come here, girlie, he grinned like a shark. Kaizuki, Yujito whispered, and her right arm appeared to ignite in pure red flames. Her arm connected with the large zanpato, and the 2 set themselves into a deadlock. Yujito winced slightly as she could feel her hand being melted by her own jutsu. She knew she couldn't hold it for long, but she had to try. That's when she noticed her chakra was being drained by Kisame's sword. My chakra, she trailed off as she struggled to hold the swordsman back. Kisame grinned at down her. Heh, now you get it. Samahata here absorbs chakra. It's the best weapon for fighting you demons. Naruto made the hand seal he was most familiar with, and 3 shadow clones popped into existence beside him. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Immediately the 2 of them rushed to attack Kisame from either side of him, and the third grabbed Yujito by the waist. Without Yujito holding it back, Kisame brought down his sword on where she was standing a moment ago, and then in one swift move shredded the 2 clones that were attacking him. Fast little bugger, Kisame said with a grin as Naruto and Yujito now stood at the far side of the room near the window. Are you alright? Naruto asked, not taking his eyes off of Itachi, who still hadn't moved since they had first met. It's nothing, Yujito said, referring to her now burned right arm. She was currently healing the damage with medical ninjutsu to help things along. Just give me a minute. Done, Naruto said and thrust out his hand towards the 2 Nukenins. Shinra Tensei, he called out, and with a massive blast of gravity both of the Nukenins, the door and a section of the wall were blown free of where they stood. Did I get them? Naruto asked as the dust began to clear. Not a chance, Yujito grumbled as she saw the dust clear and the other side of the building could be seen. Notice that I said other side of the building, meaning Naruto's last attack blasted open a good section of the building itself, leaving nothing but rubble on the 2nd story of the complex. After a moment of silence, 2 sections of the rubble shifted upwards as Itachi and Kisame emerged relatively unharmed. No, not unharmed. They didn't even look they were fazed by that last attack. On the contrary, Kisame was openly grinning. Not bad, brats. So you got the Rinnegan. Now that is a surprise, said the swordsman as he shouldered his weapon. Itachi's Sharingan was now spinning wildly as he spoke. I had heard the tales about you having it, and I saw your eyes when I first saw you, but I didn't think anything of it. Well damn, Naruto muttered bitterly as the sun shone through the open area. We could be in trouble here, Yujito commented, for the first time thinking they had bit off more than they could chew. Just then, however, the strangest thing happened. A new presence arrived behind the 2 Nukenins. A presence that made Itachi take his eyes off of Naruto. Sasuke. Itachi greeted his brother without looking. Uchiha Itachi, Sasuke spat as Itachi turned to regard him slightly. Who's this twerp? Kisame asked with a grunt. My little brother, The only one I spared during the Uchiha massacre, Itachi answered, appeared bored. Go away, Sasuke, you're of no concern to me right now. I have hated and despised you just like you said. Now I will show you my power. Sasuke charged forward as he made several hand seals. Chidori, lightning sparked and encased his hand as he neared Itachi. It all happened in an instant. One moment Sasuke made to stab Itachi, and the next Itachi grabbed his wrist and slammed him into the ground, creating a small crater. After the Chidori dissipated, Itachi lifted him up again and threw him into the nearby wall. Why are you still so weak? Is it because you don't have enough hatred? Itachi asked, barely above a whisper, though everyone heard it. Why is the gap in our strength still so large? What have been doing all this time? Sasuke asked in thought as he fought down the pain he felt. Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi whispered as his eyes morphed slightly and he picked Sasuke's beaten body up again. The moment they made eye contact, Itachi whispered one terrifying word, Tsukuyumi. Sasuke's body suddenly convulsed for a few moments before he became motionless, and Itachi dropped him to the floor. Kisame chuckled at the sight. Damn, Itachi, you're too cruel sometimes. To use that genjutsu on your own brother, damn, that's nasty. Itachi didn't respond but instead turned his attention back to the two Chunin. Now where were we? Naruto, we should run, Yujito whispered to him. Naruto shook his head, not without Sasuke. Kisame, get them, Itachi ordered, and the swordsman nodded with a grin. Just as he was about to move, however, a voice called out, Kuchios, Gamaguchi Shibari. Suddenly they were all enveloped in some kind of corridor made of red flesh. Kisame looked around and asked, what is this? My jutsu, a voice stated. Turning, everyone saw Jiraiya in a crouched position next to the unconscious Sasuke. Naruto, Yujito, don't move. I'll handle this, he told his two companions. Rasengan, Naruto sighed in relief. Jiraiya of the Sannin, Itachi said in monotone as he gazed at the man. No wonder Kakashi knew who we were and why we went to Konoha. He must have gotten that information from you, he mused. Jiraiya was uncharacteristically serious as he stood up straight and stared at the two Nukanins. So you really are after Naruto and Yujito? Itachi simply stared at him. To capture all of the 9. That is the order given to us by our organization, Akatsuki. The two Chunin tensed, knowing that the term 9 most likely meant the 9-tailed beasts. We have been sent to capture them. Too bad for you, you're not getting your hands on them, Jiraiya said with an edge to his voice. Itachi didn't respond but instead turned to his partner, Kisame. We are leaving. His partner nodded and the two took off down the corridor. Not so fast, Jiraiya said as he poured chakra into the ground, causing the walls where the Akatsuki agents had fled to collapse in hopes of crushing the two. After a few moments of silence, there was a small whisper which echoed through the corridors, Amaterasu. What followed was the sound of a mighty explosion, and then silence. Jiraiya suddenly dashed forward and turned the corner only to see that part of large mountain toad he had summoned was blown out, and black flames were covering parts of the hole's edge. Damn, they got away, the Gama-sennin muttered as he released his jutsu, and the corridor along with the entire building returned to normal. The black flames were still there, and so he approached them while pulling out a sealing scroll. This should do it. He laid the scroll out and after writing something on the scroll said, Fukahoin. The flames were suddenly pulled into the scroll and disappeared. I don't know what that was, but I will find out. Who are those guys, Rasengan? Naruto asked as he laid Sasuke up against the wall. They said they were after the 9. They were referring to the Biju, right? Yujito asked him. Jiraiya nodded in response. That's right. I don't know what they want the Biju for, but it can't be for anything good. So let's go deal with them, Naruto said with his Rinnegan activated. If they want us, then I want to see them try, he said with an edge to his voice. Jiraiya shook his head. You wouldn't stand a chance against even one of them as you are now. Then what do we do then? Just sit around and wait for them to capture us? Naruto incredulously. The Gama-sennin just snorted at that. What do you do? Heh, that's simple really. Get stronger so you can fight then yourselves. Naruto took a step back for a moment and nodded. Fine. Hey, Yujito said, getting their attention. She was currently sitting over where Sasuke lay with her hands glowing green. For some reason nothing I'm trying is working on this guy. Any idea what kind of jutsu that was Itachi used on him? Jiraiya shook his head in response. It's probably something to do with the Mangekyo Sharingan. The what? Naruto looked up, unfamiliar with the term. The Mangekyo Sharingan is the final stage of the Sharingan, and is extremely powerful. I don't know what its full capabilities are, but I do know that the last Mangekyo Sharingan user became the head of the Uchiha clan back during the reign of the Shodame Hokage, Jiraiya explained. Yujito snorted at that. You forgot to mention the guy turned into a man and tried to kill Shodame Hokage at the Valley of the End. Jiraiya remained silent at that but nodded anyway. How many of those losers are there exactly? Naruto asked, looking out at the hole Itachi had created. 9, Jiraiya answered finally. 9? Yujito's eyes widened. Jiraiya nodded. There would be 10, but Orochimaru is no longer a member of that organization. The Hibi team was a member? Naruto's question was barely above a whisper, yet filled with so much anger it was almost terrifying. He was until he defected from it in order to start his own little hidden village somewhere in Rice Country, the Gama-sennin replied. Sasuke will be alright, won't he? Naruto asked, looking down at his comatose teammate. Jiraiya sighed. Physically he'll be fine. It's his mentality I'm worried about. I'll inform Kakashi about it later, so don't worry. He tensed suddenly and spun round to where the hole in the wall was and saw a green blur appear before him. guy. Jiraiya narrowly evaded the kick that was aimed for his head, and the green-clad Jonin stopped his assault when he saw who it was. What the hell are you doing? Oh, sorry. I thought you were the enemy for a second there. Guy apologized and looked the area over. He took notice of the wall that was blown out and asked, was I too late? It's more like I was too late, Jiraiya said as he gestured towards the unmoving form of Sasuke. Guy looked the young Uchiha over and narrowed his eyes. I believe this is the same jutsu that was used on Kakashi earlier today. He's bedridden, and we can't seem to wake him up. Kakashi was also attacked, huh? Jiraiya mused darkly. All the more reason to find Tsunade, he said, turning away. Guy, can you take the Uchiha back to Konoha? We still have a mission to do and we can't delay it, he asked. Guy nodded and picked up Sasuke. I'll head back now. Good luck. Jiraiya nodded. We're going to need it. Fire Country, Tanzaka Town. This is new, Jiraiya said finally as he looked towards the destroyed palace. You don't say? Yujito's voice was dripping with sarcasm. Jiraiya ignored her, however, and saw that there were people were running away from the destroyed in every direct. Hey! He called out towards one of them that ran past. What happened here? He asked. The man looked to be panicking but managed to calm himself long enough to reply, you should all get out of here too. There are monsters up there. Monsters? Naruto asked. The man nodded. A giant snake just destroyed the palace in an instant. A giant snake. Naruto trailed off as his eyes flashed gray for a second. How big was this snake? Yujito asked, curious. Huge, the man answered before he started running again. The Hibi team is here, Naruto growled out. Jiraiya nodded. It would appear so. I shouldn't be surprised. After all, Sarutobi-sensei did a number on him. Of course, he would come to the only medic in the elemental countries who could actually heal him. I'm going to kill him, Naruto said simply. Not as you are now. He's up there with Itachi and I. Even with the Rinnegan, there's no way you can take him on, Jiraiya responded. Not normally, but you did say he's weakened right now, Naruto pointed out. Jiraiya nodded at that and turned away. That may be true, but if anyone will fight him here, it's going to be me. Hey, you two, Yujito said, getting their attention. Her hands were in a seal as she spoke. I can sense 2 chakra signatures above civilian level just north of here. I think the larger of the two is Tsunade-sama. You're a sensory type? Jiraiya asked, intrigued, and she nodded. A what? Naruto asked. A sensory type is someone who can locate and recognize other people's chakra signatures, Jiraiya explained and started walking. Come on, let's go meet Tsunade. It looks like we missed the party, Jiraiya commented as the three jumped down into the destroyed street near the demolished building. The wall nearby was cracked and looked like it would collapse at any moment. Did the Hibi team do this? Naruto asked as he looked at the cracks along the wall. Jiraiya shook his head. I don't believe so. I think this is the work of Tsunade. She probably lost her temper again. Yujito looked around and shook her head. I can't track them. There's too much chakra in the area now. Not sure what from though. Jiraiya remained silent as he surveyed the area. Well, let's go look for them. I mean, they have to be around here somewhere, right? Naruto suggested as he looked over his shoulder at them. They're still in town, but I can't pinpoint their exact location, Yujito told the two. Jiraiya nodded at that. Alright, let's ask around. Maybe someone has seen her. Night settled across the land as the moon's gaze illuminated the sky. Its deceiving rays bore down on the town as silence began to reign with only the bars open at this time. In one of those establishments were two kunoichi. One looked to be in her mid-20s and was dressed in black. She appeared to be holding a pig. No one in the bar seemed to mind though. The blonde kunoichi beside her, however, was a little different. She appeared to be in her early 20s, but there was just something about her that didn't seem right. Her cheeks were red as she downed another bottle of sake in a matter of seconds. Tsunade-sama, the dark-haired woman to her side thought as she looked at her. You know, she might have skipped town after running into that snake freak, a girl's voice suggested as three figures walked into the bar. Somehow I doubt that. She's probably still here somewhere. Either way, let's get something to eat. You two must be starving, a gruff voice said. This is a bar, Rasengan, a boy's voice deadpanned. Just then the adult of the group looked over to where the two were sitting. Well, I'll be damned. Jiraiya? The blonde woman asked, seeing his aged face. Tsunade? His eyes widened slightly in surprise. What the hell are you doing here? She asked him, not sure what else to say. That's Tsunade? She's seriously 50? She doesn't look like it, the blonde boy to the Gama-sennin's side commented. It's probably some jutsu, Yujito suggested. Jiraiya, however, just sighed and shook his head. Of course you would be at a bar. I should have known, he smirked as the three sat down at the other side of the table. To answer your question, we were looking for you. Me? Heh, I've been seeing a lot of familiar faces today, she asked as she picked up another cup of sake. Well, we saw Orochimaru's handiwork outside. He always did go overboard with that kind of thing sometimes. Jiraiya sighed again. He raised an eyebrow as he asked, what did he want from you anyway? Nothing really. He just stopped by to say hello, replied the Katsuyu Sannin. Now Jiraiya didn't believe that, but he didn't want to push the issue, so he remained quiet. Why were you looking for me anyway? Okay, I'll get straight to the point. The elders of Konoha want you to become the Godame Hokage, Jiraiya explained. Tsunade's eyes widened at that. They want me to what? Become the Godame Hokage. Effective immediately, he told her. If you met Orochimaru, then you know that Sarutobi-sensei was killed by him during the recent attack on Konoha by Oto and Suna. he stated clearly, leaving nothing out. She nodded. So what do you say? Tsunade remained silent for a full 30 seconds before speaking quite clearly. Sorry, but no thanks. I'm not like your last student Jiraiya. Life is not like money, and to risk it is a fool's errand. Jiraiya's eyes seemed to harden at being reminded of the fate of his last student. You've changed, Tsunade. Time changes people. I mean, look at the old geezer. Look what protecting the village got him. A coffin 6 feet under, just like Namake's Minato. She chuckled darkly at her own words. This is Tsunade of the Sannin. I wonder how long she's been like this for. Yujito mused in thought at hearing the old woman's words. We might as well get out of here, Jiraiya-sensei. Before we both do something we might regret, Naruto said with barely controlled anger. Senju Tsunade is dead. All that's left is this, and she's not fit to become Hokage, he finished. Tsunade looked over at him with narrowed eyes. I am the granddaughter of the Shodame Hokage and the grandniece of the Nidame Hokage. I'm more than fit to run that little collection of wooden homes. No, you're not, Naruto shot back with a glare. I think someone who can't even save the ones they care about isn't worthy of becoming Hokage. What do you think, Tsunade? He asked with a grin. Her eyes widened at that as she turned her gaze on Jiraiya, who looked down impassively. Rasengan told me on the way here what happened to the man you loved, to your little brother, and I will tell you right now. They fought to protect others with their lives. They never gave up even when they died. That's what it means to be Hokage. That's the will of fire the old man always preached about, and that is something you just don't have. The fire's shadow illuminates the village, Jiraiya mused, remembering how his former student used to say that often. You can sit there all day and moan about what life has done to you, but if you think I'll sit by and let you insult the things that the old man and the yandame have done, then I will kick your ass. He snarled as his chakra flared and his eyes turned red. Tsunade just stared at him. Jiraiya, who is this child? The Gamma Sennin just grinned in return. This is Uzumaki Naruto. He's that child, huh? He acts just like her. Almost instantly Tsunade had one leg clamped down on the table as a grin worked its way across her face. How's about we take this outside brat? It was a simple question. Fine by me, Naruto said back as he stood up from the table. Jiraiya just sighed at that. It's going to be one of those days. That idiot. What the hell is he doing? Is he trying to get himself killed? Yujito asked in thought as she, Shizen and Jiraiya followed the two. Once out in the street, the two stood about 24 feet apart. I must be going senile. I'm taking on a kid. How embarrassing. Let's go wild, Naruto said and made a hand seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 5 clones popped into existence beside him. He knows the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu? Not bad, but clones won't help him against me. She held up one finger as the clones charged. She touched the ground and suddenly the ground in front of her split in half. Too easy. She looked up at him as his clones fell into the small gorge she had created and asked, Let me ask you something, kid. Why are you so fussed over the Hokages? Naruto just grinned in return. Because it's my dream to become Hokage. Her eyes widened at that. I see. Rinnegan. Time slowed for a second as Naruto's eyes changed from their blue/red haze to a darkened gray with several rings around the pupils. Tsunade's eyes widened further upon seeing what had happened to his eyes. Those eyes are. But that's impossible. I mean, the Rinnegan has only ever appeared, and her eyes narrowed and she shot forward with her hand now cocked into a fist. There's no way he can have those eyes. Shinra Tensei. Those two simple words echoed throughout the street, and Tsunade suddenly found herself being blown back by an unseen force. This jutsu is, she thought as she hit the ground. She stood back up a moment later, however. It didn't have the same amount of power or pressure as hers did, but I never thought I would see those eyes again. But I have to wonder, why does he have blonde hair if he's an Uzumaki? I thought it was just a name, but if he has the Rinnegan then I'm wrong. Come on, you old hag? If you can't even beat me, then how are you strong enough to be Hokage? Looks like I was right. You really aren't worthy of the title, Naruto said with a grin. He's intentionally trying to make me angry so that I make a mistake. He's definitely got her unpredictability down right. Tsunade thought, remembering a certain red-headed tomboy. I need to end this now. But to do that I've got to catch her off guard. How? It's not like I can just piss her off like I do everyone else. Maybe that jutsu will help me here, Naruto thought with narrowed eyes as he brought both of his hands together at his side. Here goes nothing. He started channeling chakra to his hands and spinning it around as fast as he could. Come on. Contain it. Compress it. Don't lose control, he continued thinking as he dashed forward. That's the Tsunade thought as her eyes widened in surprise. She got over it quickly, however, and grabbed his wrist right before he landed the attack. That was too close. She smirked at him before slamming his jutsu into the ground at her feet. The Rasengan, huh? She looked over at her former teammate and asked, Was it you who taught him that jutsu? A bit cruel of you to teach him a jutsu he has no chance of mastering. Actually, I only started him on it 3 weeks ago, and he's already reached the 3rd step. It took me months to reach it, Jiraiya waved dismissively. I'd give him about a week, 2 tops before he's got it down completely. Tsunade snorted at that. And what about the Rinnegan, huh? Jiraiya's eyebrow was raised at that. What? Did you really think I wouldn't recognize that Jujutsu? The Gamma Sennin just looked on curiously. What do you mean? Tsunade snorted and turned away. I'll tell you later. She turned to Naruto and asked, Hey kid. Do you want to make a bet? What kind of bet? The blonde boy asked her. She showed him the necklace that hung at her neck. If you master the Rasengan in a week like the pervert says you can, You'll get this and I will return to Konoha. If you don't, I'll take all of your money and none of you will bother me ever again. Deal? Naruto thought about it for a moment before nodding. Alright. A wide grin settled on Tsunade's face. Then I'll see you in a week, kid. That idiot. Yujito sighed at the thought. It's been one of those days. Jiraiya shook his head at the sight. Later that night Naruto had disappeared somewhere without as much as a word. Yujito had gone with him out of sheer boredom, and Shizen had gotten them all rooms at the local inn. During the night, however, Jiraiya had asked Tsunade to come out and have a drink with him. She agreed, knowing he wouldn't let it go so easily. So what did you want to talk about? Tsunade asked as she took a drink. Jiraiya shook his head at the tone. You're still so uptight, Tsunade. Heh, if you must know, I wanted to talk about Naruto. Why did you bring him, Jiraiya? More importantly, why does he have blonde hair if he's an Uzumaki? She asked with narrowed eyes. The Gamma Sennin raised an eyebrow at the last question. I brought him to help convince you to return, but as for being an Uzumaki, well, it's his mother's maiden name if I'm not mistaken. All Uzumakis have red hair, Jiraiya. It's always been like that, Tsunade shot back. You don't know? That kid is Minato's brat. He gets his looks from his father. Jiraiya waved his hand dismissively. Tsunade shook her head at that. That explains the hair. I knew those two got together and that Kushina was pregnant, but I didn't know they had a kid. I have to ask, how did you know he had the Rinnegan? Jiraiya asked curiously. Tsunade just stared at the cup in her hand. Have you heard the tale of the Rakuto Sennin? If you mean the fact that he was the first shinobi and was the man who discovered chakra, then yes, I've heard of him. Supposedly he's nothing but a myth, but since the Rinnegan is real, I guess he is too, Jiraiya replied. Tsunade snorted at him. Of course he was real. Even if he weren't, he is known to just about everyone in the elemental countries. That said, there is something which almost no one knows outside of a select few. Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at her. And what might that be? He had 2 sons. That caught Jiraiya by surprise. You're serious? He asked incredulously. She nodded in reply. The elder brother was gifted with the sage's eyes and became known as Uchiha Tobi. He was the originator of the Uchiha bloodline and thought peace was best achieved with the use of force. The younger brother, however, was gifted with the sage's marvelous chakra and became known as Senju Naruto. He was my ancestor and the man who created the Senju clan. Naruto? As in the same name as the brat? Jiraiya asked, surprised. Tsunade nodded at that. I suppose it's fitting that his name was Naruto considering his beliefs. Unlike his elder brother, he thought peace could be achieved through never giving up and always looking towards the future. On his deathbed, the Rakuto Sennin chose him as his successor over his brother just before he died. In doing so, Uchiha Tobi attacked his little brother out of jealousy and anger. This sparked the conflict between the Uchiha and Senju clans all the way through to the founding of Konoha. That's all well and good, Tsunade, but what does that have to do with Naruto and the Rinnegan? Jiraiya asked, losing patience. I'm getting to that, she shot back. During the clan wars before the shinobi villages were founded, a section of the Senju clan broke off from the main group and wanted to leave in search of a place to call home. They settled on a remote island just off of water country surrounded by hundreds of whirlpools, she explained. Whirlpool country, Jiraiya deduced. Tsunade nodded at that. It was relatively peaceful and out of the way. Soon after, though, a man named Senju Erashur awakened the Rinnegan, which came as a very large surprise to the group. When more of them started activating their own Rinnegans, Erashur founded a clan independent of the Senju, which he named after the country itself. Uzumaki? Jiraiya asked, catching on. Tsunade nodded again, yes. After the clan wars had ended, the Rinnegan kept appearing in the Uzumaki clan, but not always. Sometimes it skipped a generation and other times it just disappeared. There was one family, though, that it kept appearing in throughout each generation. That family became the royal family of the Whirlpool country. Don't tell me Arashi's family, right? Jiraiya took the seemingly wild guess. Yes. Uzumaki Erashur was said to have been a great man who unified the entire Whirlpool country and the small neighboring islands. When it was all said and done, his descendants kept on activating their own Rinnegans, Tsunade continued. All the way to the former queen of the Whirlpool country, Uzumaki Kushina, she finished. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed at that. Then Naruto really is the heir to throne. Tsunade snorted at that. He would be if there was a Whirlpool country still around. Jiraiya closed his eyes at that. Yes, I heard about that. The Kyubi no Kitsune destroyed that entire country right before it attacked Fire Country. I never did find out how it got past water and lightning countries without anyone noticing, though, Tsunade said darkly. Do you know if anyone survived? Jiraiya asked. Tsunade shook her head at that. No. But then again, this the Kyubi we're talking about. It said that a single swing of one of its 9 tails can cause a tsunami. I guess they were right. I didn't know Kushina had the Rinnegan, neither she nor Minato ever told me, Jiraiya said as his eyes closed slightly. Yeah, well, the only reason I knew was because I was Kushina's doctor before she passed on. Tsunade shook her head at the last part. Well, Naruto had to get from somewhere. Nagato probably got it from the same place, but he didn't even know what it was until I told him about it, like his parents didn't know, Jiraiya mused. Nagato? You mean one of those orphans you took care of back during the war? He nodded at her question. Some of the Uzumaki did settle down back on the mainland, Tsunade told him. You must be right about it slowly dying out in everyone but the royal family, Jiraiya said as he thought of his former red-haired student. I can only imagine what Orochimaru will do when he finds out you've met us, he mused. Tsunade eyed his for a moment before speaking again. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what he's offered you, Tsunade, to make you hesitate like this, but I don't care. I will tell you right now, if you betray Konoha and everything the Hokage stood for, I will kill you, Jiraiya told her, completely serious. Tsunade just glanced at him for a second but was unable to meet his gaze. I know. The rest of the time they spent drinking in silence, awaiting the battle they both knew was coming. Fire country. Forest. You're not going to do it. I told you I will master it. It's an A-rank jutsu designed by the Yondaime Hokage. You physically can't do it in a month. It just can't be done, idiot. Would you shut up and let me concentrate? Rasengan. There was a resounding boom as he drilled his attack into a tree. It destabilized, however, and just left a spiral in its side. It's still not good enough. I told you, Yujito sighed. He shot her an annoyed look. Well, what the hell am I supposed to do then, huh? Hey, don't bite my head off. She raised her hands defensively. I'm just saying this is an A-rank jutsu. You can't expect it to be easy, she continued. Your jutsu is an S-rank one. That Kaizuki of yours is insane, he shot back. You're just jealous, she said with a grin. Whatever, he scoffed and started channeling chakra to his hand again. Rasengan, he drove it into a nearby tree and yet again it lost containment. What is the problem exactly? She asked, getting rather annoyed now. His frustration was building as he answered. I already know how it works and the idea behind, but it takes an insane amount of concentration and control just to reach where I am now. I mean, to reach the next level would require more control than I have. It's like trying to look left and right at the same time. It just can't be done. That's it. That's what this is about. Yujito asked incredulously and he nodded. Instantly a lightning clone appeared beside her. Rai Bunshin no Jutsu. If you want to look left and right at the same time, then why don't you use clones? Naruto's eyes widened as a grin spread across his face. Yujito, you're a genius. A week later the two were just entering the room they were staying when they felt something wrong. Call it as gut feeling or whatever you want, but it was something in the air that day. Something's wrong, Yujito commented as she opened the door. Hello? We're back, she called out, but no one answered. Rinnegan. Naruto's eyes shifted to his Dijitsu and he scanned the room. He instantly identified the figure that lay on the floor. It's Shizen and Aichan. Yujito was instantly at the unconscious woman's side. Who the hell did this to her? Naruto's eyes were scanning the room but found nothing. Whoever it was is long gone now. From what I can tell, she was hit by a blast of pure chakra in a concentrated stream, not unlike those used by Konoha's Hyuga clan, only instead of a precision strike like what they do. This appears to have been done with brute force. I doubt she'll be ready for a fight anytime soon. Can you do anything? He asked as he leaned up against the wall and was peeking out of the window. It's nothing I can't fix, she replied as her hands glowed green. We have company, Naruto stated as he helped Jiraiya into the room through the window. Oh my god, Yujito gasped when she saw the state the man was in. He wasn't injured exactly, but he didn't look to be in any shape to fight at the moment. What happened? Tsunade, he gasped out as the girl tried to heal him. She slipped something into my drink last night and left me at the bar. Leave it to her to use an odorless drug to distort my chakra control. There's nothing I can do about this without any knowledge of the drug. The good news is that it should wear off in about an hour or two, Yujito told him. That's good. Are you going to tell us exactly what is going on now, Shizen? Jiraiya asked as he saw that the woman had regained consciousness. Shizen gulped and nodded. Alright, I'll tell you everything. Fire country, plains. You're afraid of blood, aren't you? How about I show you some? I'm going to splatter as much of your blood as I can while keeping you alive. The Oto Jonin shouted as he dashed forward with a pair of kunai in hand. Tsunade struggled to stand. I can't dodge in time. A sudden large poof of smoke shot from the ground in front of her, effectively blocking them both from view. What? The smoke soon cleared to reveal Jiraiya, Shizen, Naruto and Yujito standing in a firm line between her and the two Oto Nins. What are you doing here? Well, it has been a while, Jiraiya, the one in back said amused. You're looking as morbid as ever, Orochimaru, the Gama-Sennin smirked. Naruto, the Oto Jonin smirked upon seeing him. The Konoha Chunin instantly recognized him, Kabuto. Well, it seems that these two know each other, Jiraiya commented. Why are you fighting with Tsunade Abakan? Naruto asked, not understanding. Naruto's Rinnegan intensified the glare he sent at him. You're a traitor. That's right, I'm a spy for Oto Kagure, he declared. Then everything you did for us in the Chunin exam was nothing but a lie. Naruto gritted his teeth as his fists clenched at his side. I was collecting information on all of you. I discovered some things about you as well. You're different from Sasuke. You don't what it takes to be a shinobi, Kabuto stated. For example, here you're just an out-of-place genin who got lucky at being promoted to Chunin. Sure, I expect something from that demon inside of you, and those eyes of yours caught me off guard, but compared to the Sannin, you're a real disappointment. Right now you're nothing more than a. Are you really buying this shit, Naruto? Yujito interrupted, seemingly annoyed at the Oto Nin's words. If he was such a bad shinobi, then how come he beat Gaara at the exam? How did he beat that Hyuga brat? How did he get promoted to Chunin? His record should speak for itself, he finished with a grin. Kabuto glared at her. Shut it, girl, you are the Raikage's granddaughter, aren't you? Yes, I am, though, like Naruto's. My record speaks for itself too, she said with a cat-like grin crossing her face. You're a Jinchuriki, the Oto Jonin stated when he saw her eyes flash purple. Do you think you can take him? Jiraiya asked the two. We'll be fine. You just worry about the other traitor. Naruto practically spat the last word. Yujuto, he said, and the two suddenly dashed forward. The message was clear. I'll line him up and you knock him down. She nodded as 4 clones instantly appeared at his side. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Pathetic, Kabuto smirked. He drew a pair of kunai and slashed the first 2 clones, reducing them into smoke. The other 2 clones came from his side, but he quickly destroyed them too with 2 well-placed chakra strikes to their chests. Chikura no Mezu. His eyes widened in surprise, however, when he felt a shift of heat in the air. The smoke from the clones is blocking my vision. I can't see where they're attacking from. Kaizuki, he heard the whisper and immediately shot away from it. Yujuto appeared out of the smoke and slashed at him with what appeared to be a flame-covered arm. He narrowly evaded the attack with the blade cutting cleanly across the front of his vest. He jumped away and was already making hand seals while in midair. I cannot let her get close or I'll be killed. He then took a deep breath and exhaled a large cloud of smoke at them. Katon, Kasumi Indu no Jutsu. The cloud suddenly covered over the 2 Chunin, and Yujuto's eyes widened as the flames on her suddenly exploded and tried to consume her. Shinra Tensei. The whisper was soon followed by a sudden blast of gravity. The flames were stuffed out instantly as Naruto caught her as she fell. Are you alright? I'll be fine. She winced as she began to heal her now burned arm. You know, I've been trying to figure out how a loser like you, someone with absolutely no talent whatsoever, can have that Dijitsu. Sadly, no matter what I tried, I couldn't seem to get any information on you from Konoha or anywhere else. It was like you didn't exist, like you weren't even born, and yet you were born. All I managed to find was a name, Uzumaki Kushina. Kabuto watched as both Tsunade and Jiraiya tensed at the name. So you know that name, Jiraiya? Tsunade, I wonder why you haven't told the brat that he's the heir to the Whirlpool Country's throne. That got wide eyes from Naruto, Yujuto, and Shizen. What are you talking about, traitor? Naruto growled as his eyes flashed red for an instant. Uzumaki Kushina was the last queen of the Whirlpool Country. When she was pregnant with you, she came to Konoha since it had the best doctors in all of the nations. When she was gone, however, her country came under attack from Kyuubi no Kitsune, and the entire place was leveled. She apparently died in childbirth when Kyuubi attacked Konoha, and you were used as a living weapon to stop a demon, the Oto Jonin explained. Living weapon? Actually, the Yondaime chose him as his successor. Jiraiya smirked as he spoke, catching everyone off guard. Namikaze Minato was a man of honor. He wouldn't grab a random child to stop the Kyuubi. He chose Naruto to surpass him in every shape and form. Plain and simple. As for Kushina-chan, well, she also had the Rinnegan, so of course he got it from her. Everyone but Tsunade was alarmed at the last piece of information. You knew? Naruto asked him over his shoulder. That you were her kid? Yeah. It was pretty obvious since your personality is almost identical to hers, the Gama-Sannin stated. Though I didn't know you were royalty until Tsunade told me, he added. How would she know? Naruto asked, turning his gaze towards the blonde woman. I'll explain later, Tsunade told him as she struggled to stand. Right, Naruto nodded and turned back towards the 2 Oto Nins. Enough of this farce. Kabuto. Orochimaru smirked as the sleeve on his arm was rolled up to reveal what looked like a summoning seal. Oh shit, Jiraiya growled out after he bit his thumb and started forming hand seals just as Kabuto did the same. Kuchios no Jutsu. The 2 called out, followed by 2 large columns of smoke. When the smoke cleared, Orochimaru had summoned 2 snakes while Jiraiya summoned only a small toad Gamakichi. Yo, the small toad waved. Damn it, my chakra must be royally screwed up right now, Jiraiya thought with a grimace. Orochimaru chuckled at the sight. There's still no cure for stupidity, Jiraiya. Even for an idiot like you, that's pathetic. Tsunade must have done something to you, kukukukuku. Pathetic as always. Go fuck yourself, pedophile. I know you've got the whole evil bad guy theme going for you, but you are seriously starting to piss me off. Yujuto shot back at him. Kukukuku, little girl, you have no idea who you are messing with. The Hibi-Sannin chuckled at her obvious attempt to rile him up. And neither do you, she growled back. Kuchios no Jutsu. Naruto called out, surprising everyone as the ground below him erupted in smoke. That took every scrap of Kyuubi's chakra I could muster. Thanks for buying me the time, Yujuto, he thought as a large battle toad wielding a large shield and staff blade now stood between the 2 forces with him, Yujuto and Jiraiya standing on its head. Nice job, Naruto. Jiraiya sighed in relief and looked down towards the toad's eyes. Gamaken, it's good to see you again, the Gama-Sannin stated. I wish I could say the same, Jiraiya. What am I doing here exactly? Gamaken asked, slightly nervous. We need you to fight those snakes while we handle the shinobi, Jiraiya explained. Gamaken nodded in understanding. Alright, I'll do my best. Leave Orochimaru to me. Shizen, you stick with Tsunade and keep her safe. Naruto and Yujuto will handle 4 Eyes over there. Jiraiya gave out the orders. But Jiraiya-sama, with your chakra, Shizen began. Even in my weakened state, I am the best choice to face him right now. Besides, his arms are useless, so I should be fine, Jiraiya interrupted. Here they come, Naruto said when he saw the 2 snakes barreling at them. Any time now, Naruto, Yujuto said. Shinra Tensei. The 2 summoned snakes were instantly repelled away from them by an unseen blast of pure gravity. Jiraiya jumped off immediately towards Orochimaru, who had already lunged to intercept him. Kabuto came at the two Chunin as they touched down on solid ground once again. Gamaken went off to deal with the two snakes as Kabuto got within range of the two. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 5 clones instantly lunged to strike at him. He effortlessly destroyed them, however. Clones are useless here, Naruto-kun. Do you want to run away? You should know when to call it quits and save yourself. You talk too much. Naruto shouted back as his clones were slaughtered. The girl. Kabuto turned swiftly, knowing that the Snow Nin was the greater threat, and prepared to dodge the jutsu he had seen before and was expecting. Raikyu. He was shocked, literally, when a ball of pure lightning slammed into his chest and blew him back into a nearby tree. Shinra Tensei. There was an audible crack as the tree gave way under the violent force of nature, and Kabuto's bloodied body fell to the ground. Did we get him? Yujito asked as Naruto fell back to her side. Just then Kabuto stood up seemingly unharmed. No, he appeared to be healing at an accelerated rate. Does that answer your question? Naruto shot back as he stared at the Oto Jonin. A well-thought-out plan and trick, but nothing more than that. You can't defeat me, Naruto-kun, just like you can't defeat Sasuke-kun. We will always be stronger than you, Kabuto said with a smirk. I'm going to kill you, traitor. Nice and slow, Naruto said with a glare. Naruto? Yujito thought as she shot him what would count as a worried glance. He wasn't acting like his normal self since the battle had started. He was talking like he was actually fighting to kill his opponents, and truthfully she believed he would do it too. Let's see about that, Naruto-kun, Kabuto said as a challenge as he pulled out a pair of scrolls. Fuin, Kai, instantly the scrolls went up in smoke and 27 dead people were littered out on the ground. Say hello to the dead for me, Naruto-kun, Shurkan no Jutsu. As when the group of dead bodies rose to their feet and turned towards the two Chunin. We could be in trouble here, Yujito growled as she took a step back. You monster! How dare you desecrate people's bodies like this? It is all in the pursuit of science, little girl. Surely you must understand that. Kabuto waved off the comment and took a step back. Kill them, he ordered. The army of 27 people shot forward towards the group at speeds that were inhuman. Just as they were about to get within range, Naruto looked down at the ground with his eyes closed. Damn it, we can't escape. Yujito gritted her teeth as her arm was ignited in fire once again. Naruto suddenly brought his hands up in front of him as the group were mere feet away now. 2 simple words whispered as the group were blown back at Kabuto's feet with enough force to send dust upwards. Shinra Tensei. A moment later Naruto collapsed forward and Yujito was forced to catch him. Hey idiot, are you alright? I'll be fine, he said with a grunt. I think I overdid it a little with the control there, but I had no choice, he explained. Hey, it's alright. It was reckless, but it's alright, she reassured him and helped him stand again. Do you think you can get him to stand still for me? I want to try something, he asked her. She nodded unsure. Yeah, but it won't last very long. This guy seems to know a lot about the human body and could probably find a way around my attack in a matter of seconds. Do it, he told her. Alright, but whatever you're planning better be good or we're both dead, she said and made a hand seal. Rai Bunshin no Jutsu. Almost instantly 7 lightning clones appeared at her side and charged forward with her. Shadow clones aren't going to work her, Kabuto thought with a grin and made to destroy them like he did to Naruto's clones. Chakura no Mezu, he said as his hands were engulfed in blue chakra. He cut straight through the clones but was surprised when they produced electricity and delivered a massive shock to his nervous system. Damn it, I can't move. Alright Naruto, you're up. Yujito called out as she jumped out of the way. Hey Albakan, Naruto said over his shoulder, getting the woman's attention. Get ready to pay up on your bet. His hands settled into a familiar seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A single clone popped into existence beside him as he held out his hand towards the unmoving Kabuto. Bansho Tenin. The Oto Nin was surprised when he suddenly felt himself being pulled towards Naruto instead of away from him. I can't move, Kabuto thought in fright as he approached. There was a distinct whiz as air seemed to spin in Naruto's hand. It was chakra actually. Completely chakra and nothing else. When he was within range, Naruto thrust out with the small ball of spinning chakra and slammed it dead center in Kabuto's midsection. He howled in pain from the impact before being blown back, spinning violently. He slammed into the nearby boulder with a monstrous explosion of power before it shattered under the strain. Rasengan, Naruto whispered its name as he took a step back to take a look at his handiwork. Why, you did it, Tsunade stuttered in shock. You actually managed to master the Rasengan in only 1 week. She couldn't believe it. You used a shadow clone to fuse the chakra into it and spin it while you yourself contained it, Yujito said with a wide grin. Well, you did say if you want to look left and right at the same time, then clones are the best way. He shot back with a grin of his own. After making sure Kabuto was down, he promptly turned and walked over to Tsunade. I believe this belongs to me now. He took the necklace from her and put it on. This feels strange. Why you actually heh. I'm still lousy at betting. Tsunade chuckled as her body stopped shaking from the blood. Tsunade-sama. Why your phobia? Shizun stuttered. I know Shizun, the Katsuya Sannin replied, stood to her feet. So you've overcome it, have you? Kukukuku, I don't think I care much for facing 2 of the Sannin today. Maybe next time. Tsunade. Jiraiya Orochimaru dropped down beside his wounded subordinate and said, We're leaving. Yes, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto managed to say before the 2 vanished into the ground. They're gone, Jiraiya sighed in relief as the 2 snakes disappeared a moment later. And I lost another bet, Tsunade chuckled. Well, you were always a bad gambler, the Gamma Sennin responded as he approached them. Thanks for the help, Gamakin, he said to the large toad. Anytime, the battle toad said before disappearing in a column of smoke. We'll stop in town for tonight and set out for Konoha tomorrow. Jiraiya sighed from exhaustion. Fire country, Tanzaka town. Explanation, a good one, now, Naruto demanded with a glare. His Rinnegan boring 2 holes into the 2 Sannin in front of him. You said you would explain about this Uzumaki Kushina, so tell me now. Jiraiya looked over at Tsunade, wondering how he was going to explain this. Well, you see, deciding it would be better if she explained, Tsunade cut in. You already know that Kushina was your mother. She was a part of the Uzumaki clan, who were the main clan of the Whirlpool country, and her family line in particular was the royal family of the entire country. What do you mean Uzumaki clan? There's no such thing. I think I would have heard of it if there were one, Naruto asked, not believing it. That's because the entire country was destroyed and the rest of the clan was wiped out by Kyuubi no Kitsune before it attacked Konoha. Jiraiya decided to answer that question. Kyuubi, are you telling me that demon killed my entire family? Naruto asked, not sure what else to say. Jiraiya nodded at that. Only your mother remained, and she died in childbirth the day Kyuubi attacked Konoha. Naruto sat down on the nearby bed when he heard that. What about my father? He died in the fight against the Kyuubi that day, Jiraiya answered, telling half the truth. Why do I have the Rinnegan? You said my mother had it, so what am I meant to think exactly? Naruto asked, trying to remain calm. I should probably start from the beginning, Tsunade began. Many years ago, during an age of turmoil, a single man discovered the energy we know as chakra. I don't know his name, however I do know what he was called. He was called the Rakuto Sennin, and he also wielded the Rinnegan. In fact, he was the first to have it. Ero Sennin already told me this when I first awakened it. So what? Naruto asked, getting annoyed at the little story. The Rakuto Sennin had 2 sons, Tsunade said after a moment, surprising Naruto, Yujuto and Shizen. What? Yujuto asked, surprised. She'd been told about the story many years ago and knew it in detail. It never mentioned children. He had 2 sons, he also chose one of them to be his successor before he died, Tsunade continued. The elder brother was gifted with the sage's eyes and became known as Uchiha Tobi. He was the originator of the Uchiha bloodline and thought peace was best achieved with the use of force, she explained. Naruto's eyes widened. Sasuke is related to the Rakuto Sennin? All Uchiha are, Tsunade said darkly. Same as the Senju, she added. You? Yujuto asked, confused. The younger brother was gifted with the sage's marvelous chakra and became known as Senju Naruto. He was my ancestor, and the man who created the Senju clan, the blonde Sannin explained. Naruto? As in my name? Naruto asked. Tsunade nodded at that and repeated what she told Jiraiya previously. Unlike his elder brother, he thought peace could be achieved through never giving up and always looking towards the future. On his deathbed, the Rakuto Sennin chose him as his successor over his brother just before he died. In doing so, Uchiha Tobi attacked his little brother out of jealousy and anger. This sparked the conflict between the Uchiha and Senju clans all the way through to the founding of Konoha. That still doesn't explain why I have the Rinnegan, Naruto commented. He's right, although I do find it freaky that he has the same name as a son of the Rakuto Sennin. He's an Uzumaki, not a Senju or an Uchiha, Yujuto said, trying to clear things up. That's where it gets complicated. You see, during the clan wars before the shinobi villages were founded, a section of the Senju clan broke off from the main group and wanted to leave in search of a place to call home. They settled on a remote island just off of water country they called Whirlpool Country, Tsunade continued. The leader of the group was a man named Senju Erashur, or Uzumaki Erashur, as he later started calling himself, and he founded the Uzumaki clan with the others of the group. The Rinnegan began appearing in their family, and Arashi's family became the royal family of Whirlpool Country. Most of the clan only activated a Rinnegan once every 5 generations, but Arashi's family, a Rinnegan awoke in every generation, and it was always the first child who awoke it that became the heir to the throne. Naruto took a moment to let all of the information sink in. So then, since I'm an only child, you are the heir to the throne, Tsunade finished with a nod. So what now then? Yujuto asked after a moment of silence. Jiraiya sighed and stood up. We should head back to Konoha now so Tsunade can assume the Hokage's position. When did I say I was going to do that? Tsunade asked with a small smirk. Everyone looked at her with confusion. What do you mean, Tsunade? You made a bet with the kid, remember? You lost, so you have to become Hokage, Jiraiya said sternly. Actually, I only agreed to return to Konoha. I never agreed to become Hokage, Tsunade told him, surprising the group. But if you don't, then who will? I sure as hell am not going to take the job, Jiraiya stated. I might have an idea. Tsunade shot him a grin. Fire country. Konoha/Hokage Tower. Things had changed in the village since the Suna/Oto attack a month ago. An Umbu captain named Tenzo practically took command of the entire shinobi force as a temporary leader, with Itachi Kakashi in a hospital bed from his battle with Uchiha Itachi, who had managed to enter the village without anyone noticing. When Senju Tsunade had returned, much to the surprise of everyone in Konoha, and healed Kakashi, he was given command back. The elders were shocked to say the least when they discovered that both Jiraiya and Tsunade spoke to the daimyo himself, practically going behind their backs, and got the daimyo and the council to make Kakashi the Godame Hokage, saying he was the best man for the job right now. That leads us to the current situation. This is torture, Kakashi grumbled from behind the Hokage's desk as he scanned over the many sheets of paper on the table. Why did I accept this job again? He asked with a groan. Because Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama said you were the best choice, his new assistant, Shizen answered as she brought in another stack of papers. I'm not sure if I should be insulted by the fact that they both turned it down or flattered that they have so much faith in me. The masked Hokage sighed and leaned back. How did you survive this torture, Minato-sensei? He asked in thought as his eyes settled on the vast amount of paperwork. Knock knock. Come in, he called and sat up. The door opened and his former students entered. You're late. We got lost on the road of life, Naruto shot back with a grin. The blonde Chunin had changed his attire some after he had returned to Konoha. He still wore a jumpsuit, but this one was covered in more black than orange, and suited him a lot better than his previous cloths. Think his jumpsuit from part 2. His teammates had been surprised to see him wearing it, and when they asked he said his last one was practically worn out from his last mission. Cute, really cute, Kakashi sighed and waved them over. He looked over at Shizen and asked, can you wait outside for a moment? This won't take long. She nodded and left a moment later. He turned back to the three and spoke, I assume you know why you're here? Sakura looked a little nervous as she spoke up, not really, sensei? Kakashi sighed before continuing, as you know I am the Godame Hokage. As such I am no longer your sensei, so the team is being changed around a bit. Are we getting another Jonin sensei? Sakura asked, feeling her nervousness grow. Kakashi shook his head. Not exactly, he continued after a short pause. Between the attack last month and the need for Jonin to be stationed either here or at the border, I simply don't have anyone to spare right now. So what then? Naruto asked. Knock knock. Come in, Kakashi called and the door opened. Yujito entered a moment later, catching everyone's attention. Sakura looked at her nervously as she silently wondered what Snow Nin was doing in Konoha. Sasuke sent her a curious if a little annoyed look. Naruto on the other hand, well, his eyes were narrowed and she could have sworn she saw his Rinnegan activate for a second. Ni Yujito, she introduced herself. You wanted to see me, Hokage-sama? She asked respectfully. Yes, I did, Kakashi said with one of his eye smiles. I have been told by Jiraiya-sama that you are the ambassador from Kumo, correct? He asked. Yujito nodded at that, paying no heed to the reactions of the two genin in the room. That is correct. Because you are a shinobi, a messenger from the Reikage requested that you be part of a joint village team, Kakashi continued. With Suna now an ally again, they have done the same with a young girl called Temari. I've assigned her to one of the other genin teams, he concluded. Where am I being assigned to? The Kumo Chunin asked. Team Kakashi led by Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage stated, surprising the group. Sasuke's fists instantly clenched as his face remained in its neutral state, even though he could feel a dull ache coming from the back of his neck. But Kakashi-sensei, Naruto Baka is Sakura began. A Konoha Chunin and is your superior Sakura, Kakashi cut her off. Like I said, I have no one else to spare, and besides Shikamaru is doing the same with Temari since Asuma is on the front lines right now, he finished. Who has command? Both Naruto and I have the same rank, Yujito asked as she took note that Naruto had gone unusually quiet. Since it is a Konoha team, Naruto has tactical command, but you are second in command. Like I said, Shikamaru is doing the same with Temari. They were both promoted to Chunin, but he has tactical command, Kakashi explained. After a moment of silence he sighed. If there are no questions, I have a mission for you. What is it? Naruto asked, speaking for the first time since Yujito entered the room. It's an A-rank escort mission to Snow Country, Kakashi stated, surprising the four. We're spread pretty thin, so I'm assigning you to take care of this, he said as he handed them a sheet of paper along with what appeared to be a photo. Her name is Fujikaze Yuki. She's an actress and a good one. She plays the lead character in the Princess Gale movies. You might want to see it before taking the mission. We'll get right on that, Naruto said. Is there anything else? His voice didn't seem to hold any of the childishness from the last time Kakashi saw him. The Hokage just shook his head. That's everything. Good luck, and dismissed. The four Nins bowed and Kakashi watched as they exited the room. You've changed, Naruto. Once outside, Sasuke immediately turned to Naruto. Dope. Just to get things straight, I don't care what Kakashi says, you are not the T. Naruto rounded on him, grabbed his collar, and slammed him up against the wall. I don't care, team. You don't like me and I sure as hell don't like you, but while we're on this mission you will do everything I say. If you don't follow my orders I will consider you a traitor, and believe me when I say you don't want that. Naruto, you can't talk to Sasuke-kun like th. Sakura raged. Sakura, shut up. You're annoying, Naruto shot back, causing her eyes to wide from the memory of someone else saying those exact same words. Naruto turned his attention back to Sasuke and said simply, follow my orders and we won't have a problem. It's as simple as that. He let go, allowing Sasuke to regain his footing. Sasuke grunted but said nothing else. Naruto turned away and started walking. Let's go see this movie that sensei was talking about. At the very least we'll know what this actress looks like. What about her? Sakura asked, gesturing to the Kumo Nin walking with them. I have a name, you know. It's Yujito, she said, annoyed. I worked with her on my last mission. I know what she can do, Naruto said, not even looking back as Yujito made to follow him. I don't like this, Sakura muttered as she followed soon after. That was the best film I've ever seen, Yujito said as the four made their way out of the movie theater. A brave and strong heroine faces impossible odds as evil tries to stop her from continuing her glorious quest. A cat-like grin made it onto her face. You were watching her? I preferred to keep my eyes on that handsome Michi who played Sukiakuro. I wish I could just watch him all day long, Sakura said before she realized what she was saying and turned to Sasuke. Of course he doesn't compare to you, Sasuke-kun, she said, trying to cover it up. You really need to sort out your priorities, Pinky, Yujito said, giving her an annoyed look. Sakura sent her a glare in return. Shut it, Cloud Girl. Make me, Yujito grinned back as her eyes flashed purple for a second. Alright, settle down you two, Naruto said, stopping them from continuing any further. Then the strangest thing happened, well, a few actually. The first was someone who looked a lot like the woman they were assigned to protect jump past them riding a horse. About 20 samurai followed her, also on horses, and seemed to be chasing her through the streets. Was that Princess Gale who just rose by? Sakura asked in a stutter. No, that was the actress that plays her. She's being chased, right? Yujito asked, pointing down the street the woman and the samurai had rode down. Yes, she is. Let's go, Naruto said, and the four took to the roofs to catch them. They quickly caught up with the horses that were galloping through the village. Disable them. Don't kill them unless you actually consider them a threat. Got it, Yujito and Sakura said at the same time while Sasuke just gave a HN. Once the horses reached an open area, the team dropped in front of them, surprising the riders. The only unmasked rider called out in surprise, "Who are you?" "We're the good guys." Naruto waved back and suddenly shot forward with the rest of the team. It didn't take long to restrain the collection of samurai. "What are you doing?" the leader asked as he was tied up. "We're supposed to protect Fujike's Yuki. You know, the woman you were chasing just a second ago. Since you were chasing her, that makes you the bad guys," Naruto answered. "Yuki, but we're with the film crew." "I'm her manager. She ran away from the shoot, so we went after her." "My name is Isama Sendeu," the leader stated. "Sasuke?" Naruto asked over his shoulder. "He's not lying," the Uchiha replied with his Sharingan activated. "Right," Naruto said and clicked his fingers, releasing the ropes that bound the samurai. "How about you explain to us exactly what is going on?" he asked. What about Yuki?" Sendei asked. "She's probably long gone from here by now. We'll find her later," Naruto said, sending a knowing glance at Yujito, who nodded back. "Of course. Right this way," Sendei and gestured down the street. "The next Princess Gale movie is the first one we're shooting abroad. And I don't need to tell you all about our leading actress," the assistant director sighed. "I am sorry," Sendei apologized, knowing why she had run away. "I have to say, these ninja you hired, Sendei, are really something else. They took down those stuntmen turned bodyguards we hired like they were nothing, and those are some pretty big guys," said Director Makino. "Thanks, I think," Yujito said, unsure if she should take it as a compliment or an insult. "Anyway, we're planning on filming the movie's big climatic ending in Snow Country, so that's why we're going there. Sendei here recommended it since, according to him, the rainbow glacier in Snow Country is said to turn into 7 different colors during the spring," the assistant director explained. "That's nothing but a legend," Yujito shook her head at that. "There is no spring in Snow Country. The entire place is locked in a permanent winter," she continued. "Why does Yuki keep running away?" Naruto asked, thinking he was missing something valuable. "We don't know. She just started when she found out we were going to Snow Country," Makino explained. Naruto remained silent for a moment before he turned to his team. "Let's go get her. The sooner we find her, the sooner we can finish this mission, Yujito." "She's in a bar on the other side of town," the Snow Nin answered. "How do you know?" Sakura asked, shooting her a confused look. "I'm a sensory type. I can sense specific chakra signatures over large distances," Yujito explained, a little annoyed. "Let's go then," Naruto said, and they were off. "Fire Country, Tanzaka Town. Are you sure this is the place?" Naruto asked as the team arrived with Sendei right behind them. Yujito nodded. "She's definitely inside." "Alright, I'll go in first, try and talk to her. If that doesn't work, well, I'll just let you handle it, Yujito," he said to her, and she nodded in understanding. "Good luck," Yujito said as he entered the establishment. He found Yuki sitting at the darkened counter and approached her carefully. "Excuse me," he said as he narrowly passed a man wearing a hat which covered his eyes, putting himself between the actress and the man. The man just kept walking as Naruto turned to the actress sitting at the bar. "Fujike's Yuki, I presume? Who wants to know?" she asked, sending him a sideways glance. "Uzumaki Naruto," the Chunin answered simply. "You're a little too young for me, kid," she told him, trying to get a rise out of him. "It didn't work. Old enough to kill, old enough to screw around." He turned his attention downwards to her neck and something caught his attention. "Quit staring, pervert," she shot at him. Naruto just ignored it, however. "That necklace you have," she froze at the mention of it. "What is this feeling?" "It's like the feeling I got from the Shodame's necklace, but it's different." "It's nothing," Yuki said, turning away. Naruto shook it off. "Who are you really?" She looked at him for a moment before she answered. "I'm nothing but a lie. Nothing but words on paper that are expected to be alive. What about you?" "Who are you really?" "I don't know anymore, or perhaps I never did," he answered truthfully. Yuki chuckled darkly. "Then you should just go home." "You're right," Naruto said and turned back towards the door. "You're broken. Nothing but a shell for a lie," he said as he passed her towards the exit. She shuddered slightly as he passed her. "That boy, he's just like him," she thought, remembering the man who had saved her 10 years ago. "Well, how did it go?" Sakura asked once he was outside. "Not as well as I'd hoped, Yujito. Get to it," he said, and the Snow Nin nodded. She entered the bar a moment later with the others close behind. "We should make this fast." "Raikyu," Yujito whispered and sent a small ball of lightning at the actress, causing her to instantly freeze up and fall into unconsciousness. I only used enough chakra to disable her. There's no permanent damage of any kind. Good. Sasuke helped me with her, Naruto said as he threw her arm over his shoulder, and the Uchiha reluctantly got the other arm. Naruto turned to the manager and asked, "Where to now?" "Snow Country, unknown location. She has the Hex Crystal. There is question that she is Kazuhana Koyuki, your niece," the leader of the Yuki-nin stated as he bowed on one knee. The Snow Daimyo merely chuckled. Interesting. She's not alone, however. My spy says she is being guarded by Team Kakashi, the leader finished. Kakashi? As in the Hatake Kakashi? The female of the group asked with a small smirk. It would appear he has personally trained her escort, though he does not appear to be a member of the team, the leader replied with a nod. I heard he became the Hokage, the last man mused. Even without Kakashi, the team is extremely dangerous on their own, the leader continued. The leader of the group is Uzumaki Naruto, the holder of Rinnegan. Uzumaki, that's a name I haven't heard in a while, the daimyo said. I thought they all perished at the fall of the Whirlpool country. He's probably that woman's brat, he mused. So the Prince of Whirlpool, huh? Sounds like fun, the female said as a grin spread across her face. His teammates are nothing to joke about either. The heir to the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Sasuke, is on the team as well. Then there's the Raikage's granddaughter who appears to be acting as an ambassador to Konoha now, the leader stated clearly. The Snow Daimyo chuckled at that. In the end it will be a clash of fate. Snow Country, film ship/ocean. I know this is a mission and Hokage-sama picked us for the job, but I really can't stand that woman, Yujito said, annoyed. She may be a good actress, but her people skills could use some work. It's not so bad, Yujito. It could always be worse. Naruto shrugged and leaned back on the railing of the ship. Our mission is to protect her. We have to do it even if we don't like it. I don't think guarding a pampered actress will be that difficult, Sasuke said, looking over the railing at the seaboard. Naruto just shook his head at that. We thought the same about that old drunk Tsunade on our mission to Wave Country. If you remember, we had to fight Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist, and his apprentice. That was different, Sasuke grunted. Maybe, but I don't think that Sandai guy is telling us everything, Naruto said as he looked over at the way everyone was about to start filming. Everyone be on your guard just in case. Something is definitely wrong here, he said as he remembered the feeling he got from the actress's necklace. Snow Country, iceberg. What the hell is this? Yujito asked upon seeing the massive cluster of ice and snow which had created a floating island in the middle of the sea. That is an iceberg, Naruto said simply. Everyone. We're shooting the next scene here. Get ready. The assistant director shouted to the film crew. Okay, scene 36. Cut 22. They started shooting a moment later. It was cut short, however, when the mountain behind where the villain character exploded, blowing ice down the side and leaving a large hole in the side of it. Is that a part of the movie? Sakura asked nervously. I don't think so, Naruto said as he jumped in front of the film crew, or more specifically Yuki. Rinnegan. His eyes shifted slightly as his Jujutsu activated as Yujito and Sasuke came up at his side flanking Yuki while Sakura hung back. Hey, what are you all doing? The assistant director shouted at them. Everyone get back to the ship. Naruto shouted over his shoulder. On top of the cliff a single figure rose from the ground. It appears you're as good as they say, Uzumaki Naruto, he spoke. Who the hell are you? Naruto asked him with narrowed eyes. Rogan Nadar. It's a pleasure to meet you, Prince of Whirlpool, the Yuki-nin said with a smirk. Prince? Sakura asked, not understanding. I'll explain later, Naruto said over his shoulder, though he didn't take his eyes off of the man. Naruto on the left. Yujito called out, and Naruto turned to spot another Yuki-nin standing on the nearby pillar of ice, though it was a girl this time. Greetings, Princess Koyuki. I do hope you're still carrying around the Hex Crystal, the girl said with a smirk. The entire group were surprised by the declaration and cast a look at the unmoving form of Fujike's Yuki. What does that mean? Yujito asked, uncertain. It doesn't matter right now. Remember the mission, Naruto said, getting everyone back to attention. One more on the right, Sasuke said upon seeing another Yuki-nin emerge from the ground further down side of the mountain, though this one was male. Impressive Uchiha, but it's still not good enough, the newcomer said clearly. Yujito, you take the guy on the right. Sasuke, take the girl, and Sakura, you cover Yuki or whoever she is, Naruto ordered. Fubuki, Mizore, you take care of the princess while I deal with him, Nadar said and jumped down with Fubuki following a moment later. Raikyu. Yujito called out as she jumped clear of the group and threw the lightning ball at the approached Mizore, who appeared to be riding a snowboard. Out of my way, little girl. The Yuki-nin shouted as the ball of lightning seemed to hit an invisible wall just before impact and was nullified. That's Yujito thought as she dodged to the side to avoid the incoming attack. Mizore slid right past her and turned to face her once more. That's definitely chakra armor, but I've never heard of it being this advanced before. Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu. Sasuke called out as he expelled 7 small blazing fireballs at the pink-haired Yuki-nin. Fubuki dodged most of them, but the ones that hit just seemed to splash along some kind of invisible barrier. What is that? Is that the best you've got? Fubuki chuckled and backflipped away from him, while she quickly made several hand seals. Hairo no Jutsu, she whispered as she touched back down. The ground in front of her expanded in the form of ice towards where Sasuke stood. I'm going to freeze your balls off, kid. Sasuke grimaced and jumped away only to be caught by the ice. His body suddenly changed into a fire lamp with an explosive tag connected to it. The tag exploded, sending ice shards scattering across the battlefield. Sasuke suddenly emerged from the ground below Fubuki, and she turned to face him only for her eyes to wide upon seeing his attack. Chidori! The Uchiha called out as he struck with the technique, only for that damn barrier she had to hold it back. She knocked him away and took to the skies on a pair of robotic wings. I fractured her armor, but nothing short of another Chidori is going to be enough to break through it. Shinra Tensei, the top of the mountain exploded as a result of the sudden of a massive blast of concentrated gravity. Nadar landed on the edge of the main slope and smirked. Naruto stood atop one of the neighboring snow pillars. This guy is as strong as Kabuto, maybe stronger. If you keep that up, you're going to bring the whole mountain down on us, you know? The Yuki leader smiled knowingly. Guys, they're using chakra armor. Ninjutsu and genjutsu are useless against them as long as they're wearing those things. Yujito shouted out the rest of the team. We know! Naruto shouted back as Nadar made a hand seal. Hayatan, Hariyamoko! The Yuki leader said with a smirk, and suddenly the mountainside came alive as a half-dragon, half-tiger formed from the gathered ice. Shinra Tensei, Naruto whispered, and the barreling ice beast shattered. He looked up at where the Yuki leader stood, grinning. Damn this guy, there's no openings at all. Give up, kid. You can't beat me, Nadar spoke confidently. In response, Naruto raised his hand towards him and whispered two simple words. Bansho Tenin. Nadar was surprised when he felt his body being pulled towards Naruto, who had already cocked his other fist back. You're an ass. You know that. He yelled as he landed the monstrous punch to the Yuki leader's face. That hurt, Nadar growled out as he stood up from the snow again. You're going to pay for that, Your Majesty. The old Naruto would have most likely kept fighting until one of them fell, but things had changed. Despite feeling the same way as before, Naruto knew that his team were at a serious disadvantage here, and it was only a matter of time before they all fell. He made a quick decision without taking his eyes off of the Yuki leader. Sakura! Use every explosive tag you have. Blanket the entire iceberg. Sink it! Naruto shouted over his shoulder, surprising everyone, including the assembled Yuki Nins. Sakura nodded nervously at that. Alright. Are you insane? You'll die too. Nadar sneered. Naruto just grinned. We'll see about that bastard. Mizore! Stop the girl! Nadar shouted to his teammate. Mizore nodded at the order and slid past Yujito. Oh no you don't, the Kumo Chunin growled as she took off after him. Oh no, Sakura's eyes widened as he approached. Just before he reached her, however, Yujito jumped down between the two with her arm now covered in what looked like flames. Kaizuki! She called out as she made to slash the Yuki Nin and appeared to clash against some kind of barrier. Damn it, I can't hold him forever. Hurry it up, Pinky! Yujito called out over her shoulder. Sakura nodded and opened her cloak, revealing dozens of kunai with bags attached to them. She started throwing them up towards the mountain one after the other in quick succession until they were all gone. She then drew a kunai with an explosive tag and threw it at the wide array of bags. Sakura Fubuki no Jutsu, enjoy. The tag detonated in a magnificent light, followed by the booming sound of an explosion. This was soon followed by the contents of the bags exploding as well, increasing the blast tenfold. The entire iceberg shook as the ice splintered and cracked under the pressure and heat from the blast. Every get back to the ship! Naruto shouted as he jumped away from Nadar. The rest of Team Kakashi disengaged from their own fights and hurried towards the ship they had come on, where the film crew had already fled. The Team Snow couldn't catch them in time since they had to worry about escaping the shattering iceberg themselves. Back on the ship, Team Kakashi and the film crew watched as the entire iceberg shattered and its remains floated on the ocean surface. The ship had already started moving away from the area as Team Snow watched them leave. I think this mission just got a lot harder, Naruto sighed. Snow Country, film ship/ocean. The room was dark on board the film ship where Yuki Koyuki slept in bed. Naruto stood next to the window and kept on looking between both her and the necklace she wore, which was now on the table beside the bed. The feeling he got from it was cold yet refreshing instead of the Shodame's necklace, which felt warm. 2 of 6. Naruto looked around upon hearing the voice but found no one other than him and Koiki. Tail Moon Split Sage Necklace. That's not Kyubi, Naruto thought, since he didn't feel any demonic presence. Senju Uchiha Legacy, Child of Prophecy. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand you, Naruto asked in thought but got no reply. Naruto turned and stared at the necklace for a good 10 more seconds before he made a hand seal and whispered a few choice words. A second later, a single shadow clone appeared in the room and transformed into a copy of the necklace. A second later, he switched the two and placed Koiki's necklace in his pocket. Greetings, Princess Koiki. I do hope you're still carrying around the hex crystal. What's so damn important about this crystal? Naruto asked in thought as he remembered the Yuki Nin saying those words. There was a knock on the door before it slid open slightly, allowing Sandei to look in. The ship pulled into dock a moment ago. Everyone else is waiting in the conference room, he spoke simply. Naruto nodded. Yeah, you've got some explaining to do. Sandei nodded, and the two walked to the conference room, making sure to close the door behind them. Naruto, what did that snow guy mean when he called out Prince? Why would he call you that? Sakura asked, though it sounded more like a demand. Yujito shot her an annoyed look. Why do you think, Pinky? It's because he's the heir to the Whirlpool Country's throne and the only child of Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto sighed. It's true. Why didn't you tell us? Sakura asked in surprise and almost a little hurt. Would you have believed me? I was the dead last of our class, Sakura. Even if I'd known about it back then, no one would have believed me. Besides, I only found out recently, so it really doesn't matter at the moment, Naruto responded. Sasuke remained quiet as he watched him with narrowed eyes. What I want to know is what's up with Yuki. If that's really her name, Yujito said as she leaned against the wall near the window. Sandeya-san explanation, a good one, now, Naruto said with a hardened tone which surprised Sakura and Sasuke. The manager calmed himself and sighed. Alright, he took a deep breath and began. Fujike's Yuki is only an alias. You're actually guarding Princess Kazuhana Koiki, the rightful heir to Snow Country's throne, he stated. I'm sorry, what? Naruto snapped. And when the hell were you going to tell us this? I didn't think they would come after her so soon, the manager stammered out. I'm a former resident of Snow Country, so I know her, Sandeya continued, unable to meet their gaze. Yujito cast a look over at Naruto. She's just like Naruto. I served the princess's father, the former daimyo of Snow Country, Sosetsu-sama. Then 10 years ago, Sosetsu-sama's younger brother Doto hired a group of Yuki Nins and started a coup d'état. The Kazuhana palace was burned to the ground and Sosetsu-sama was killed. I thought the same fate befell the princess, but she was saved by Hatake Kakashi, Sandeya explained. Kakashi-sensei saved her? Sakura asked. Sandeya nodded. The day I discovered she was alive, I was practically beside myself with joy. She was alive after all those years. We all thought she had perished with her father. I should have died that day, a voice rang out from the door. There, leaning against the archway, was Yuki Koiki. I am alive, but whatever tears I had left all dried up that day. Sandeya wiped the tears from his eyes. And that's how I came to be the manager of Fujike's Yuki. I have bided my time, waiting for the opportunity to return the princess to Snow Country. So you've just been using us all this time? Asked the assistant to his side. I'm terribly sorry for deceiving you all, but it was for Snow Country's people, Sandeya said as he stood and moved in front of the Snow Princess. He dropped to his hands and knees, pleading with her, Please, princess. I beg of you, confront Doto and assume your place as the leader of our home. Koiki stared at him impassively. Not a chance. I refuse to throw away my life in some fool's dream. But you, Highness, Sandeya began. You can forget it. I don't care. No matter what happens, you can never get rid of Doto, the princess said with a glare. Why don't you shut your mouth? Naruto growled angrily at her, surprising his team. This man is on his knees, begging whatever self-respect you have left in hopes of accomplishing his greatest dream. Insult him like that again, and mission or not, woman or not, I will beat you into the ground. The room fell deathly silent after that, tensions running high as the two bit back their own sneers. And just who are you to tell me what to do? Koiki asked, never taking her eyes off the blonde boy. I can be your best friend or your worst enemy, Naruto answered as his Rinnegan activated, creating a pressure in the air. It's not like you have a choice. With this Doto after you now, your only hope is to keep moving. He let that sink in for a few seconds before continuing, like it or not. We're your only hope, deal with it. Koiki didn't know what to say to that. Yujito spoke up next. Normally on a mission like this we'd return to the village, but with Doto after us we'd be slaughtered before we escaped. Let's just deal with them here. It's nothing we can't handle, Sasuke grunted with his arms crossed. Sasuke-kun is right. We won the last fight, Sakura added in her 2 cents. Naruto nodded reluctantly. No, we didn't. They ambushed us. We barely escaped without any serious wounds. They'll be prepared next time, but then again so will we. Uchiha Sasuke walked along the length of the ship, his mind not on the ocean or the ship itself. Instead it was on his team, his second family. He cared for them, for the bonds between them, but something was missing. Something that was important, his goal. Why are you still so weak? Is it because you don't have enough hatred? Uchiha Itachi, the man who murdered everyone he cared about, the man who slaughtered his entire clan, the man who was once his brother. He had been on Sasuke's mind since their encounter a month ago. He had thought that Itachi had returned to finish him like he did the rest of the Uchiha clan. Instead, he not only all but ignored Sasuke's presence. His reason for returning was to capture his teammate Naruto. It was ludicrous. It went against everything he stood for. He hated it. The Dobe was Itachi's target. He didn't even bother taking Sasuke seriously. At first, he didn't really pay much attention to the orange-clad idiot but the Chunin exams. Between now and their time in the academy, it was unnatural progress. At first he thought it was the Rinnegan that was giving him power, but that didn't account for their mission to Wave Country. The Dobe had beaten the guy who had defeated him and was still conscious. He didn't have the Rinnegan back then, so how did he not only survive but win against his opponent? Why was Itachi interested in him to begin with? Just who was Uzumaki Naruto? Judging by the conversation earlier, Naruto was the prince of the Whirlpool Country. He'd never heard of it before. It was strange, especially considering the blonde's bloodline. Naruto had the Rinnegan, so naturally his clan had it also, right? Surely if there were a clan of Rinnegan users someone would have noticed, right? If there was such a clan, then why hadn't he heard anything about them? Questions plagued Sasuke's mind, but he couldn't seem to find any answers. There was also Yujito to consider. He never cared much for feelings, physical or otherwise, preferring to retain his seemingly cold appearance. The ambassador from Kumo seemed to embody what he'd always thought kunoichi were supposed to be like. She was strong, didn't need protecting and was capable to defending herself. Given time, she would be a force to be reckoned with, especially considering she was the granddaughter of the current Raikage. Though for some reason, which he found frustrating, he couldn't seem to copy any of her jutsus with his Sharingan. Dobe, I will find out your secrets. Yours and that girl's too, Sasuke thought as he stared out at the sea, completely oblivious to the cold. It's interesting how things had changed since their academy days, Sakura thought as the ship pulled into dock and everyone began to disembark. Back in the academy everything was normal, and she knew where everything fit. Sasuke was the cool genius who always won, Naruto was the dead last who always asked her out, and she always hit. She was the most popular girl in school and wanted to get to know Sasuke better. Things changed when she joined Team 7. Kakashi taught her a very important lesson: look underneath the underneath. In other words, don't take anything at face value. Kakashi had laid out Sasuke like he was an old rug. Naruto had not only mastered the ability to create clones but also managed to make them solid. Where Sasuke was beaten badly by Kakashi, Naruto had come up with a plan in the middle of the test and, though it was useless, managed to surprise the scarecrow-like man. Then the mission to Wave Country. She would never forget it, how Sasuke easily dispatched 2 Chunin Nukanins like they were nothing. The look on Naruto's face and his vow. It was unbelievable and yet terrifying at the same time. Then they were attacked by Momochi Zabuza, the demon of the mist. He was able to catch Kakashi off guard, though that was only because he had to protect his students while fighting. Zabuza had taunted them, scared them beyond all recognition, and just as they were about to run away in fear, Naruto did something that she'd never seen from him before. He didn't give up, he didn't run and didn't back down. He stood his ground and made up a plan which he along with Sasuke managed to implement. The plan surprised Zabuza and freed Kakashi from his prison, who then proceeded to defeat Zabuza. That was the first time she had really seen that Naruto wasn't what he appeared in the academy, and Sasuke wasn't that strong when compared to others. It happened again when Zabuza came back with his apprentice and nearly killed them. She had thought Sasuke was killed, but he was just put in a near-death state. Naruto, on the other hand, had not only defeated the masked Nin, but he didn't seem to have a wound on him. She thought Sasuke had won the fight since Naruto wasn't that hurt, but when Sasuke asked her if Naruto defeated the masked Nin, she knew that wasn't the case. After they returned home, they were entered into the Chunin exams, and yet again Naruto defied every image she ever associated him with. He beat opponent after opponent. Where Sasuke ran out of chakra and energy, Naruto just seemed to go on forever. Then during the finals she found out that he had a bloodline, and not just any bloodline but the same bloodline only the Rikudo Sannin had. It had been months since the tournament, and if she were honest with herself she thought that she was the only no-name on the team. Then there was Yujito. Sakura didn't care much for her. In her opinion, the blonde-haired girl was a cross between Ino and Temari. She was annoying, stuck up, and she was sure the girl wanted her Sasuke-kun. I mean, why else would she have joined Team Kakashi? Surely it had nothing to do with Naruto. Okay, he had improved greatly, but he was still an idiot. Not that it mattered. Sasuke-kun would be all hers, one way or another. Snow Country, mountain range. After everyone had disembarked from the ship, they had all used the small convoy of vehicles they brought with them to continue their journey on solid ground. It took several hours before the convoy reached the other side of the mountain. They had used a small tunnel going through it which had once been used by the railway, which was once used by the natives. When they stopped to rest, however, things became complicated again. The assistant jumped out of his truck and approached Makino frantically. "Mr. Makino!" he shouted as he drew near. "What is it?" Makino asked. "Yuki has vanished again," the assistant replied frantically. "What?" Makino exclaimed. Naruto looked over at Yujito and said, "Find her." Yujito nodded and took off. "No way. I am not going back there," Koiki thought as she dashed through the frozen forest. Suddenly she tripped and rolled across the ground until she finally came to a stop at the bottom of a hill. Why is this happening? Why do you run away?" Koiki's eyes widened slightly at the voice, but she didn't move. "Senju, child of prophecy. Are you done?" Koiki looked up and saw Yujito standing not too far away. "Come on, everyone's waiting," the Kumo Chunin said as she pulled the princess to her feet. How did you?" Koiki began as Yujito suddenly holstered the woman up onto her back. "I'm a sensory type. I had you picked out before you even ran away again," Yujito explained as she took off with the woman clutching her back. "You can run as far as you like and I'd still be able to track you," the blonde stated. Koiki remained quiet at that as they neared the entrance to the tunnel. "Why do you run away from your fate? It can't be just self-preservation. It's got to be something more than that," Yujito said as she slowed to walking speed. When she didn't answer, she decided to change the subject. "You know, you and Naruto are similar in a lot of ways." Koiki snorted. "Yeah, right? I'm nothing like your boyfriend. I'm not insane." Yujito snorted. "He's not my boyfriend, and yes, you are insane. You're insane for making everyone worry. You're insane because you're afraid." "I am not afraid," Koiki growled out. "I heard about your father. He was a great man who followed his dreams." "What does that say about you?" Yujito said over her shoulder. "I will not allow you to lecture me," Koiki sneered. A grin slipped onto Yujito's face. "Then why don't you stop me?" Note: I'm sure some of you have watched the new Star Trek film where I got this line from. It seemed to fit, so I put it in. Koiki didn't respond. Instead, she dropped off the smaller girl's back and sent her a glare. "You can never understand. Every ounce of happiness I've ever had was taken from me because of this country. I hate it. I didn't want to come back here. I do not fear it. I loathe its very existence. Doto should have finished the job back then instead of making me suffer like this, the Snow Princess growled out. Yujito just stared at her. I may not be able to understand you, but Naruto does. You're everything he's not, and yet you're just the same as him. You're standing in someone else's shadow looking for a way to stand on your own. I've seen the way he looks at you, like he's looking into a mirror. He sees you as a reflection of himself. What he could be if he chooses to. I can't stand the sight of you. I don't care, Koiki said simply. Yujito turned away at that. Fine. Stay a heartless monster forever. See if I care. Without another word, she picked the princess up and started carrying her again in silence. Snow country, mountain tunnel. The sudden sound of a horn echoed through the tunnel as the frozen railroad tracks at their feet began to thaw until the tracks were usable again. Yujito stopped at the sight and looked back towards where the sound originated but only saw a light. It's a train, Koiki said in confusion. She hadn't seen one since she was a little girl. The only ones used were in Snow Country, and they had been frozen over after Doto rose to power. Yujito shot her a surprised look. You've got to be kidding me. The horn echoed again as a large steam-powered train came into view, barreling down the tracks. We should get out of here, Koiki yelled in surprise. Yujito turned and ran in the opposite direction. I hear you. She ran, Koiki on her back, with the train following close behind. Her feet were pumped with chakra to increase her speed, her muscles shifting every time her feet touched the ground. Despite her efforts, however, the train slowly gained on them. It was then that they saw the end of the tunnel. Yujito didn't stop even as they jumped out of the tunnel and rolled across the snow-covered ground. The train screamed past but slowed to a stop along the cliff. Koiki shook her head to get rid of the dizziness clouding her vision and saw that the convoy wasn't there. However, stand atop the platform on the train was her uncle Doto, the man who ordered her father's death. She didn't know what to say. It's been a long time, Koiki, the snow daimyo said into the mic he held with a smirk on his face. Doto fear consumed Koiki for that single moment. It's been 10 years, come now. Don't be shy. Let's get a look at that face, Doto said with that same damn smirk. Yujito stood up in front of the princess, causing Doto to narrow his eyes. Hey, pedophile. It's against the law to hit on your niece, you bastard. Doto sneered at her. Mind your place, little girl. Make me, she growled as her eyes flashed purple. Before Doto could answer her challenge, several logs barreled down the hill and slammed into the side of the train, surprising them. They looked up and saw Sandeya standing with an army of samurai, ready to put an end to Doto once and for all. There you have it, men. Princess Koiki is here to watch over us. With her at our side, victory is ours. Sandeya called out, and the samurai cheered. Sandeya, you idiot, what are you doing? Koiki asked barely above a whisper. Hear me, Doto. We've waited a long time for this day of reckoning to come. Asama Sandeya and 50 loyal warriors stand before you to avenge our beloved ruler Sosetsasama. You will die here, Doto. Sandeya shouted, raising his weapon into the air. I thought you destroyed the last of the insurgents, Doto said, annoyed. Nadar bowed his head apologetically. I'm sorry. It appears we missed a few. We will deal with them now. Doto just sneered as he gazed at the group. It doesn't matter. Men such as these can't understand anything but complete annihilation. Wipe them out. Attack! Sandeya called out, and the group dashed down the hill with their weapons raised. The side of the train opened, however, to reveal dozens of tubes along the carriage. A nameless Yuki-nin stood at the controls. He turned the gears and suddenly dozens of kunai shot out from the tubes, creating a wall of flying kunai. The samurai stopped dead in their tracks as their eyes widened at the approaching swarm of death. Shinra Tensei. The ground cracked as the kunai were suddenly hurled to the side like toys. Naruto stood next to Sandeyu, his arm raised towards the train and his eyes glowed with a dull gray. Katon, Gakaku no Jutsu. Sasuke exhaled a large fireball from the side which slammed into the side of the train, a section of it to explode in a column of fire. Doto clutched the rail as the train shuddered from the impact. Get us out of here, he barked, and the train started moving again. The moment it was on the bridge a bit further down the track, Sakura detonated 2 of her explosive notes. The back end of the train collapsed as the bridge under it was consumed in a pair of miniature suns. The front end of the train kept moving, however, as it released the damaged sections, allowing it to escape. Sasuke and the samurai were about to go after them when Naruto called out, Hold it. They want us to go after them. If we're going to face them, it will be on our terms, not theirs. Sasuke looked like he was going to argue for a moment but nodded, understanding the logic. He didn't like waiting around, but he did understand that it was better to use any advantage you had. Koiki walked up to Sandeya and asked in a voice befitting a mother, You stubborn fool. What were you thinking? You could have gotten yourself and everyone else killed with that little stunt of yours. But Princess Sandeya began. Koiki interrupted before he could finish, but nothing. A leader is supposed to put aside their personal feelings and do what is right for the people. That stunt you just pulled was selfish beyond measure. Calm down, Princess, Naruto said, causing her take a breath. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Sandeya nodded his head in gratitude. Don't. I happen to agree with her. Sandeya took a step back at that. What you did was reckless even by my standards. Don't let your personal feelings cloud your judgment like that again. Oh, the irony of that statement. I'm sorry. Sandeya bowed his head in shame, knowing it was true. Those who stray from the path of justice have no courage, but under the wing of a strong leader cowardice cannot survive, Naruto told him in Koiki. The princess looked at him for a moment and clutched the necklace she held. Maybe. That was Sakura whispered. Sasuke nodded at her side, the Shodai Hokage. Let's get out of here. We're no good in the open like this. Just as Naruto gave the order, a large blimp flew up over the mountain. Mizore stood at an open hatch and fired his grappler. The mechanical hand grabbed Koiki's torso and retracted. She let out a yelp in surprise as she was suddenly pulled up into Mizore's arms. He tossed her inside as Fubuki bombarded the terrain below with her ice grenades. Everyone had taken cover by then, and soon enough the airship withdrew from the area. Damn it, Naruto growled out as he saw it fly over the mountain. They got us good there. Yujito winced as she healed the scratch left behind from one of the ice bombs. What now? She asked as she quickly healed Sakura's injuries too. Rescue mission, Naruto said simply. I think it's about time we give a little of what we've been taking. And how do we do that? Asked the Kumo Chunin. Naruto just grinned. The best defense is a good offense. Koiki sat in a rather comfortable seat aboard the airship as it flew over the various mountains in the area. Its destination was the former ground of the Kazuhana Palace, the site of her former home. She was nervous, she was scared, she was absolutely terrified, yet she was also calm. She had become a natural at hiding her emotions. She was an actress after all. You've grown quite beautiful, Koiki, Doto said with a smirk. Tell me, do you still have the hex crystal? Yes, she responded with a grunt. Doto chuckled at that. Good. It is a prize unlike any other. With it I can finally unlock the treasure of the Kazuhana clan. Koiki looked up, intrigued. Treasure? That necklace is a key to the treasure of the Kazuhana clan. When I took control of the country I found that the clan's resources were almost gone. My brother had to have hidden it somewhere. I've already found the location of it. It is in the Rainbow Glacier, but to unlock it I need the hex crystal, Doto explained. With this we will finally be able to increase Snow Country's power, and eventually overthrow the 5 great shinobi nations. Even if you succeed it won't change anything, Koiki said as she took off necklace she wore and handed it to Doto. A second after Doto examined it he snarled angrily. What is this? Do you think I can't recognize a fake? What? But that's Koiki's eyes snapped in recognition. Uzumaki Naruto, she whispered in understanding. What? Doto growled. The brat's just like his mother, an unpredictable prankster. I wouldn't put it past him to pull a switch, Nadar said as he stood with his team. We'll go get it now. It shouldn't take long. That won't be necessary, Doto sneered as he threw Koiki back down on the couch. He turned to the Yuki-nins and smirked. We have what he wants. He'll come to us just to save the little princess here like a good little hero. Snow Country, Snow Fortress. The place is crawling with guards, Yujito whispered as she sensed the various chakra signatures in the area. They're all Genin level except for 5. 3 are Jonin level and the last 2 are at the Chunin level, she stated clearly. I thought there were only 3 Yuki-nins in that squad, Sakura commented from the side. Yujito nodded. One of the others is Doto, but I don't recognize the last one. What about Koiki? Where is she? Naruto asked her. Yujito closed her eyes for a moment before replying. She's in one of the underground holding cells. Naruto nodded in understanding. Alright, this is what we do. Sasuke, you and Sakura set up as many explosive tags in the fortress as you can while Yujito and I get Koiki. While we do this I'll have my shadow clones raising as much hell as possible on those genin. Just wait for the signal before detonating the tags. And what's the signal? Sakura asked. Naruto just grinned. That would be the prison area going sky high. You know I've never actually read one of those books about a damsel in distress, but I guess you would count as one, huh? Koiki looked up upon hearing the voice. Naruto stood outside of her cell with a fox's grin on his face. Hey princess. Did you miss me? Koiki let a genuine smile cross her lips for the first time in 10 years. You're late, Naruto. Yeah, well, heroes always show up at the last second, he shot back as he opened the cell door. Her smile faltered for a moment. You swapped the hex crystal, didn't you? Naruto nodded and handed her back the purple crystal. Yeah. I figured that's what they were really after, especially considering the feeling I was getting from it. Koiki looked at him confused. Feeling? Yeah, every time I look at it I feel cold. It's the same as the necklace I've got. Except that one feels warm, the blonde replied. She stared at him for a few more seconds. That can't be, I thought I was the only one who felt anything from this. Naruto, behind you. Yujito called out from down the path. Naruto turned quickly, but he wasn't fast enough. A figure had appeared behind him and knocked him away with what appeared to be sword made of lightning. He bounced off the side of the wall, scattering pieces of the concrete before he finally rolled to a stop a few feet away. He stood to his feet a moment later, being aware of the edge of the pathway overlooking the abyss below. Who the hell are you? Naruto growled. The stranger had already grabbed Koiki before Yujito could intercept. His blade rested at the princess's neck, ready to slit her throat at a moment's notice. A sudden clapping echoed through the prison area and everyone looked up to see Doto descending from the lift. Well done, Doto said with a smirk as the stranger threw over the hex crystal along with the princess. Dispose of them while I take care of more important business. Koiki struggled to break free but to no avail. He released his cloak, revealing his new chakra armor, and took to the air with his mechanical wings. The stranger smirked as he turned to the Konoha Chunin. My name is Rokusho Aoi. He turned his head towards Yujito, It will be the last name you ever hear. He's a new Nin from Konoha who stole the Raijin, the sword that was wielded by the Night-Aim Hokage. I thought he joined AIM. Why is he here? Yujito asked as she stood beside Naruto. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "Who cares? We have to get Koiki and the crystal back. It's too cramped in here to fight properly," Yujito told him. Shinra Tensei, the world was engulfed, expanded around them. Aoi was forced to escape as the ceiling, the cells and even the building on top of them collapsed. Problem solved. The snow fortress was riddled with explosions as explosive tags detonated in a fiery blaze. Team Kakashi watched as the fortress soon tore itself apart, killing all inside. A split second later the entire building went up in one big fireball, consuming all it touched. Yujito, can you track them? Naruto asked as the four stopped. She nodded in reply. They're heading to Rainbow Glacier. There's a problem in getting there though. What's the problem? Sasuke grunted. She turned towards him. The Snow team and that Nuke Nin are between us and them. There's one Jonin up the mountain, the two Chunin are in the forest, and the other Jonin is just outside the glacier. Naruto thought for a moment before he spoke again. Alright, this is what we're going to do. We're going to split up. Yujito, can you take that rain freak? Aoi, yes. Yujito nodded hesitantly. Naruto nodded and turned to the others. Sasuke, walk with me for a moment. The two walked a little ways from the girls and said simply, "Do you think you can take on two Chunin by yourself?" Sasuke grunted at that. "It's nothing I can't handle." "Why? You and I both know Sakura's no match for a Chunin. If she came with Yujito or I, then we would be slaughtered. The only choice I have is to have you protect her while fighting. Can you do it? Can you protect her while fighting two Chunin?" Naruto asked. Sasuke grunted again, mostly in annoyance. It shouldn't be a problem. Naruto smiled at that. Alright, then he spoke louder so everyone could hear. There's one last thing. When you win, don't come to aid the others, head straight for Doto and Koiki. Until Doto's plan is stopped and Koiki is saved, nothing else matters. Snow country, glacier borderline. So you decided to face me, huh? Let's get this over with, little girl. Aoi gave a mock bow. That's an interesting sword you have, Yujito said when she saw him activate it in a blaze of yellow light. It's amazing, isn't it? I tricked this stupid genin named Idate into stealing it from me. Too bad he escaped before I could kill him. Oh well, not like it matters, the Aim Nin said with a smirk. He leveled the sword at her. Shall we? You know, with a sword that big you'd think you were compensating for something. A cat-like grin stretched across Yujito's lips. Aoi sneered at that. I was originally just going to kill you outright, but after that comment I think I'll enjoy myself first. I wouldn't count on it, Yujito growled back. A split second later 7 lightning clone appeared behind Aoi. It all happened in an instant. He twirled the Raijin around and with pure lightning manipulation alone, he absorbed the clones. He stopped a moment later and chuckled. Really now? Using lightning against me? When I have the Raijin? Surely you had to have realized it is useless to resist. After all, no one can stand up to the power of the Raijin, to my power. I just wanted to check, bastard. I needed to make sure of something. That's all, Yujito shrugged with a small grin. And what might that be? He asked, intrigued for a moment. I wanted to test your reaction time, she said simply, and suddenly burst into static electricity. She was a clone. His eyes widened at that thought. Yujito emerged from the ground a moment later with her arm covered in what looked like pure fire. Kaizuki! She called out as she slashed at him. Aoi brought his sword to bear and the two clashed between them. Sparks flew off to the side as they broke apart. Tsuin Kaizuki. Her other arm was suddenly engulfed in flames, and she spun around to catch the Aim Nin's unprotected side. He parried the attack though and was surprised that she had not keeled over in shock from the electricity running through the sword. The blow came faster and faster. Eventually he was brought the sword down to cleave her in half, only this was a mistake that cost him. She brought both of her arms up and locked the weapon between her two fire blades. Then in one swift motion, her arms moved like scissors and cut the sword at the handle. Aoi dropped the weapon in shock. This had never happened before. He wasn't able to think properly after that as Yujito cut right through him from back shoulder to thigh. His body melted into nothingness, forever erasing his presence from the world. She sighed in relief and turned towards where the two sections of the Raijin lay on the ground. She only took a moment to catch her bearings and seal the two pieces for future use. Maybe she'd be able to repair it once they returned to Konoha, if they returned to Konoha. For now, though, she still had a mission to complete. She just hoped everyone else was alright. Snow country, Snow mountain. This is such a fitting arena, wouldn't you agree, Uzumaki-san? Nadar asked as the two stood across from each other. Naruto just stared with his Rinnegan activated. You're in my way. Nadar smirked at that. Then how about we finish this little dance, huh? Fine by me, Naruto said and formed a hand seal. Kege Bunshin no Jutsu. A single shadow clone popped into existence beside him. Alright then, the Yuki leader responded and made several quick hand seals. Hayatan, Rogan Nadar no Jutsu. He called out as snow began to barrel down the mountain in the shape of a dozen wolves. Naruto dashed forward, chakra spinning in his hand as the clone moved with him. The clone jumped into the air, which was soon followed by Naruto a moment later. Naruto then proceeded to jump off the clone as if he were a platform, and in doing so avoided the avalanche-like attack. He fell towards where a surprised Nadar stood and swung his attack down upon him. Rasengan! the blonde called out as the jutsu connected. Nadar backed off a moment later as the attack died down. The device on his shoulder sparked and shattered. He looked at it for a moment and chuckled slightly. Impressive kid. For a child no older than 13 to break chakra armor is unheard of. You should feel honored, Nadar said in a mocking voice. And you shouldn't let your guard down, Naruto responded as a clone appeared behind the Yuki leader. What? Nadar turned swiftly when he felt the presence, but it was already too late. The clone struck him dead center in the face, knocking him off the cliff and down towards the trees below. Naruto jumped after him a moment later, 3 clones popping into existence with him. The 4 clones grabbed Nadar in midair and slammed him into the ground, blowing dust into the air with the impact. Naruto fell on him a second later, his knee firmly planted in the Yuki Nin's midsection, causing him to grunt in pain. Shinra Tensei! The blonde called out as gravity increased on Nadar's body. A crater formed around him from the jutsu, and he felt every bone his body shatter. Naruto then proceeded to punch him repeatedly, again and again and again. Naruto didn't stop, however. He raised his hand into the air and immediately a clone started charging his next attack. Rasengan! He called out as he drove the spiraling sphere of destruction down upon his opponent. It was during this time that Nadar dissolved into snow, indicating it was a snow clone of the Yuki Bunshin no Jutsu. The shadow clones around the blonde disappeared in clouds of smoke a moment later as Naruto stood. Nadar appeared behind him with a kunai, and blood splattered on the unforgiving ground. Snow country, forest. Sasuke-kun, they're getting closer. Sakura exclaimed as she dodged yet another snow grenade. I know, he responded calmly. He stopped suddenly and threw a collection of wire strings onto the branch above him. He backflipped away as Mizor's mechanical arm extended and tried to catch him. Sasuke was already ahead of the 2 Yuki Chunin, however. A Fuma shuriken unraveled in his hand and he threw it up towards the flying Fubuki. You've got to do better than that to bring us down, Fubuki said as she easily dodged the large shuriken. What the hell? She exclaimed as a second Fuma shuriken appeared, bounced off of her chakra armor's shield. Kage shuriken no jutsu, Sasuke whispered as he saw the second shuriken connect. The force of the impact, however, knocked her off course straight into the patch of wire. The moment she touched it, the wire had wrapped around her, trapping her. She broke free a moment later, however, but it was already too late. Sasuke appeared behind her while in midair and attacked immediately. Sure, Rinnegan! He called out as he landed multiple kicks to her stomach, shoulders and legs before finally finishing it with a downward kick to the midsection. She slammed into the cold snow with a thunderous impact, but Sasuke wasn't done. He plummeted towards her, his hand now engulfed in lightning and ready to deliver the finishing blow. Her armor had already been pushed to its limits after that last attack. Chakra armor wasn't really designed to resist against taijutsu techniques, so it was practically useless against them. Chidori! The echo of 1,000 chirping birds filled the forest as Sasuke struck down the Yuki Kunoichi. Fubuki! Mizor shouted as he saw her now lifeless form. He moved to help her but found that a number of wires had latched onto him. Let go of me. No! Sakura shouted back as she held the wires down, stopping him from moving. Sasuke appeared at her side and unleashed his final jutsu, Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu. The wire suddenly ignited and Mizor was engulfed in flames. The power core on his armor fractured and a moment later it exploded, blowing both Sasuke and Sakura away. They stood a moment later after the blast died down, coughing heavily from the amount of ash that was seemingly released during the explosion. What was that? Sakura asked after regaining her footing. Sasuke shook his head. I don't know, but that was definitely not my jutsu. Wait, you don't think that their armor is volatile? Snow country, Rainbow Glacier. Koiki gazed out over the beautiful landscape. The shining scenery of the glacier was stunning even at this hour. Dawn was approaching fast. She knew but accepted it all the same. Her eyes drifted to her uncle, a man driven mad by his lust for power, and the man who had ordered her father's death. She hated him, yet he was family, and she could never wish for his death. If you believe in the future, then spring is sure to come. Those who stray from the path of justice have no courage, but under the wing of a strong leader cowardice cannot survive. I'm at the end of my journey, father. I don't know if I can believe. Tears slid down Koiki's face as she watched Doto stand before the altar. He slipped the crystal into a small slot located in the very center of it, and the entire altar exploded in light. The ice around them illuminated the glacier, as she felt the temperature begin to rise. The smirk on Doto's face had turned to outrage as the ice around them began to melt, leaving behind streams of water moving all around the glacier's edge. It's so warm, what is this? Koiki asked, confused. A heat generator? This is the hidden treasure of the Kazuhana clan? Doto shouted in outrage. Hey pedophile! I got a bone to pick with you! A voice called out from the other side of the glacier. Koiki turned quickly and identified the young girl immediately. Yujito? Doto growled upon recognizing her, and made a hand seal. Hayatan, Kakuryu Bofusetsu. He thrust out his fist and a black dragon made of ice shot out towards the oncoming Kumo Chunin. Yujito saw it coming and used her fire manipulation to literally blast herself out of the way. The dragon impacted the ground behind her, knocking her off her feet, but she regained her balance a moment later. Doto was already upon her, however, and swung his fist down to finish her. The ground bled under the impact, but she'd already flipped over him and landed between Doto and Koiki. Kaizuki! She slashed with her signature jutsu, but it was blocked by the barrier in his armor. Such a foolish little girl, Doto sneered and backhanded her across the glacier. Her body hit the altar, and he started walking towards her, intent on finishing the job. Damn it, Kaizuki is useless against someone like him, Yujito growled in thought as she tried to stand. Any last words? The Snow Daimyo sneered. Go to hell, Yujito shot back. You first. With that he swung his fist down on her. A sudden Fuma shuriken bounced off of his armor barrier from the side a moment later. Doto turned swiftly as the sound of 1,000 chirping birds filled the air. Sasuke barreled across the melting ice with his hand covered in lightning. Chidori! He called out as he slammed the right unjutsu into the man's armor barrier. There was an audible crack as part of the armor's reactor core fractured slightly. A moment later Doto knocked Sasuke away and slammed him into the nearby frozen boulder. Sasuke slumped the ground but remained conscious. Sakura appeared by his side. Sasuke-kun! The pink-haired Kunoichi shouted in alarm. Doto laughed, and with each passing moment Yujito got angrier. This man didn't appear to care about his people at all. He only cared about himself, and any power he could get his hands on. She hadn't seen Naruto since they had parted ways, and she didn't know what she would if he had died, all because of this infernal man. I'll get you! Purple chakra flames erupted from her being and encased her completely in an inferno. It morphed itself into the shape of a human-sized cat with a single swishing tail behind it. An echoing roar escaped Yujito's lips as she disappeared in a burst of speed and reappeared in front of a surprised Snow Daimyo. The slash that was delivered to his chest broke through his chakra barrier, and the flames burned 4 large claw marks across his chest plate. He slammed into the side of one of the heat generators and howled in pain from the wounds that had been inflicted on him. D-Demon! He yelled frantically as he tried to move away. Yujito was down on all fours and looked like a lion ready to strike. Stay away from me. He made several hand seals and held out both of his hand. Hayatan, Soryu Bofusetsu. 2 black dragons of ice shot out and combined when they approached their target. They formed a pitch-black tornado of wind and ice which started pulling in everything in the glacier. Eventually Yujito was pulled into, and when the wind finally stopped, steam filled the air. Nikomata Enden, the wind whispered as a superheated blast of crimson flame streaked at him from the steam-filled area. It impacted his barrier and scattered, melting parts of his armor and the ice he stood on. A moment later the ice collapsed, and he dropped into the freezing water below. Doto grabbed onto the edge of the ice and tried to pull himself up. Yujito stood at the place where the blast originated, and the ice below her feet too seemed to shatter, causing her to drop in as well. The fire around her died upon contact with the water, and she was forced to grab onto the edge of the hole. Doto was the first one on his feet, and he dashed towards where Yujito stood. She knew she couldn't defend against him this time, and her eyes closed when he drew near. Die, demon! He yelled as he went in for the kill. Bansho Tenin, he was pulled back by an invisible force, and he suddenly a searing pain in his back. Rasengan, he was suddenly shot forward and slammed into a formation of frozen boulders. Don't you dare touch any of them with your filthy hands, Naruto growled as he glared at the Snow Daimyo. Naruto Koyuki whispered and gasped at the look on his face. His Rinnegan was blazing and there were faint traces of red mist drifting off from his body. His cloths were a mess, and he looked like he'd been through a small war. Actually, all things considered, that was probably true. Are you alright, Yujito? Koyuki? He asked, his eyes not moving from Doto's form. Yujito winced as she tried to heal her injuries. I'll be fine. Koyuki nodded. I'm okay. Sasuke? Sakura? How about you too? He asked over his shoulder. Sakura visibly sighed in relief. I'm alright. Naruto Sasuke thought angrily as he stared at his teammate's back. Good Kega Bunshin no Jutsu. A single clone appeared at his side awaiting instructions. You annoying little brat! Doto shouted angrily as he stood once more. I'll make you regret interfering in my plans, Uzumaki. Hayatan, Kakuryuya Bofusetsu. A black ice dragon was launched at the blonde-haired boy. Naruto didn't even move from where he was standing. He brought one hand up and opened his palm. It's over. This ridiculous little farce is over. Shinra Tensei, the ice dragon shattered and dissipated into nothingness before it even reached him. Not yet, it's not. It won't be over until justice prevails and evil is wiped out. Every good story has got to have a happy ending. What? Doto shouted in surprise as Naruto brought his hand up again. Koyuki knew she needed to say something, so she shouted it out clear as day. Finish is Naruto-kun. Bansho Tenin. Doto suddenly found himself being pulled towards Naruto again as the blonde held out his free hand towards the clone. A spiraling sphere of chakra was formed a moment later and Naruto thrust forward. Rasengan. What is that jutsu? Why can't I copy it? Where did he learn that? Sasuke thought with overflowing jealousy. Wow, rainbow chakra, Sakura said in wonder as she saw the jutsu change into 7 different colors thanks to the heat generators. It's just like in the movie. Come on, come on! Yujito cheered as she saw the attack connect with Doto's barrier. There was an audible kaboom as the jutsu detonated, sending Doto spinning back and slamming into the very center of one of the generators. The glass cracked and shattered, and suddenly the area around them had changed from ice and water to grass and streams. Doto's lifeless body fell to the ground and remained motionless with a pained look forever imprinted on his face. Up on the cliff above, the director looked out over the new scenery and exclaimed, "Wait a minute! Could it be we're making this movie 3D? Believe in the future. If you do, then the spring will surely come." The image of a younger Koiki appeared in the middle of the glacier, though everyone could tell it was a recording. "What will you do when it comes, Koiki?" a male voice asked. "I'm going to become a princess," the recorded Koiki said with a childish smile. "Oh, and what sort of princess?" the male voice asked. "Well, let's see, one who's strong and kind and fights for justice," the young girl said cheerfully. "Ha ha ha, that's some dream." The male voice sounded happy. "Did I really say those things?" the real Koiki asked as she stared at the recording. Everyone was watching it, wondering how it would end. Suddenly a man much taller than the young Koiki appeared with a smile. He was dressed in green robes and was wearing glasses. "Well, so long as you believe in your dream and never give up, one day you'll be that fine princess," the recorded Sosetsu told her with a smile. He placed the hex crystal around the little girl's neck and looked onward. "Can you see her? There's a beautiful princess standing right in front of you now," he said with a smile. By now the real Koiki had tears trailing down her face as she looked up at her father's face. I have a problem though. There's something else I want to be," the younger Koiki said over her shoulder. Sosetsu looked curiously at her. "Really? What's that?" "An actress," she replied with her childish smile. Sosetsu chuckled at that, clearly believed she could do it. The real Koiki started laughing lightly herself at the irony of what was said. Eventually the image dissipated, however, and the recording became nothing but memory. Yujuto smiled at that. "Now that's what I'd call a happy ending." "Yeah, it is," Naruto said, looking up at where the image had been a moment ago. Suddenly the altar erupted into a series of low chakra shockwaves, causing everyone to snap their attention toward it. "What is that?" Sakura asked in surprise. "How the hell should I know?" Yujuto shouted back as the altar exploded in light. Koyuki covered her eyes to avoid looking at the light. "What is going on exactly?" The hex crystal glowed and shot up into the air above the altar before it moved at an insane speed. Naruto caught it with both hands, but the force behind it was enough to blow him back several feet. "Naruto!" Yujuto shouted in worry upon seeing him being blown back. "I'm fine," he told her and looked down at the crystal. "I am the one who will establish peace and order." "Did this crystal just talk?" he asked in thought as he saw both the crystal in his hands and the one around his neck glow. 2 of 6 Senju. "The crystal, it's resonating with the necklace Tsunade-sama gave you," Yujuto said, looking between the two glowing objects. "Well, it looks like it belongs to you now," Koiki said as she saw the necklace stop glowing. Naruto looked over at the Snow/Spring Princess. "You mean I can keep it?" Koiki nodded. "Yes. Take good care of it." "Thank you." He didn't know why he was thanking her. It just felt like the right thing to say at the time. Yujuto clapped her hands together at that moment. "Now let's get out of here. I could really use a shower right now." Fire Country, Konoha/Hokage Tower. The trip home had been uneventful. They had stayed until Koiki had been instated as the new spring daimyo, and she agreed to ally with Konoha and the Fire Country as a thank you. On the trip back, Sakura was doing what she normally did and constantly pestered Sasuke. Yujuto had been surprisingly quiet after she found out that Koiki would still remain an actress and would be playing a part in the new Ika Ika movie. Then there's Sasuke. The glare he had been sending at Naruto the entire way home was beginning to get on his nerves. It didn't matter if they liked each other as long as they could work together. At least that's what Naruto had thought, but something changed during the Battle of the Frozen Glacier, as the locals of Spring Country now called it. Naruto didn't know what had changed exactly, but whatever it was made him very uneasy. "This brings us to our current situation." "Mission accomplished," Naruto stated clearly as his team stood before the Hokage. Kakashi nodded and looked over the report, impressive if a bit reckless. "We had to split up. Taking them on as a group would have been suicide," Naruto explained his reasoning. Kakashi waved it off. "Believe me, Naruto. If I were in your shoes I would have made the same call. No matter how reckless it was still the right decision." "Thank you, Sensei," the squad leader nodded. Kakashi sighed. "Go take a break, all of you. I'm sure there'll be another mission for you tomorrow, so go get some rest." "Dismissed." The four nodded and exited the room. They were just about to reach the stairs when one single sentence changed their fates forever. "Hey Dobe," Sasuke spoke up, getting the others' attention. "What do you want, team?" Naruto asked over his shoulder. "Fight me now," Sasuke said with a glare, surprising the two female members of the team. "What?" "Sasuke, we just got back from a mission. What the hell are you talking about?" Naruto asked, confused. "Shut up and fight me," he said, anger dripping in his words. Naruto just stared at him. "Sasuke, I can't. I'm a Chunin now. I can't just go around and pick fights with people anymore. And even if I could, I don't have the time to deal with your ego." He turned and started towards the stairs again. Sasuke saw this and grabbed his shoulder to pull him around. Naruto turned swiftly and slammed the dark-haired boy against the wall. "What the hell is your problem? You and me, training ground 7 right now." Sasuke's glare intensified. "Sasuke, you're not getting it. I have bigger problems than you now." "Orochimaru, Akatsuki, your brother." At Naruto's words, Sasuke's Sharingan activated. "I said fight me," the Uchiha sneered. "No," Naruto responded, no longer playing around. "Are you scared?" Sasuke asked with a smirk. "I'm not the scaredy cat," the blonde Uzumaki responded. Sasuke grunted as Naruto turned to continue on. He spoke up again, however, and Naruto stopped dead in his tracks. Then if you won't fight me, perhaps demon girl here will. Yujito sent him a glare at the name he had called her, that bastard. What's his problem? Take that back. Naruto turned around and activated his Rinnegan. Make me, Sasuke said, hoping to provoke a reaction. He got one. Fine. Training ground 7. 20 minutes, be there. HN. Fire Country. Konoha/training field. 20 minutes later, Naruto and Sasuke approached the center of the training field. Word had somehow gotten out that the two were going to fight, and most of Konoha's population had arrived to witness the match. On one hand you have the last loyal Uchiha, Sasuke, and on the other hand you had the heir of the Rakuto Sannin, Uzumaki Naruto. Two children who were so similar, and yet so different. Two children whom were practically royalty. Two children who possessed two different nearly extinct Dijitsus. Two children whom represented fire and hatred. Two children whom represented the legacies of the Senju and the Uchiha. Even Kakashi, Tsunade and Jiraiya had gotten word of this, and had come to see what was going on. Jiraiya was a little worried but knew what he had to do. Tsunade didn't really care about the match, but she did care about Naruto, so she would stay on hand in case anything happened. Kakashi, however, he was the Hokage, plain and simple. So you heard too, huh? Jiraiya asked over his shoulder. Kakashi nodded as he walked up to him. Yeah. I need to stop this before it gets out of hand. It's already out of hand. The best thing you can do for those kids is to let them sort this out for themselves, Jiraiya said, his head shaking. Jiraiya-sama, the Hokage began. Jiraiya cut in, however. Hokage-sama, you need to let them sort this out for themselves. There is no way around it. What's the story between these two anyway? Kakashi sighed. Remember how you were with Orochimaru? Jiraiya nodded with a grimace. Oh great. It seems we've got quite a crowd, Naruto commented as he cast a glance at the large group watching them. We've even caught Sensei's attention, he said as he spotted the Hokage in the group looking like his lazy self. HN, was Sasuke's only reply. Naruto turned his gaze towards the Uchiha and chuckled. What's so funny? Naruto shook his head. It's just I guess I'm happy. After everything that's happened, I'm glad I finally get the chance to pound your ass into the ground. Who are you fooling, loser? Sasuke sneered. Naruto's eyes flashed gray as he replied, I haven't been a loser in a long time, team. Whatever, loser, Sasuke grunted. I bet you only became Chunin because of that demon girl from Kumo. Naruto's shifted red for a second. Say that again, I dare you. Sasuke sneered at him. What are you going to do if I do? Naruto's grin was terrifying. The same thing Haku did to you when you fought him. Sasuke scowled at the memory of his first defeat. Shut up. Naruto smirked at the response. Apparently he was enjoying this little mind game. Now that I think about it, with the exception of that guy from the preliminaries, you've never actually won a fight. Why are you so weak? Is it because you don't have enough hatred? That did it. Sasuke's anger consumed him as he dashed forward, intent on tearing the blonde apart. Naruto saw him coming and reacted by blocking the fist that was aimed at his face. He recognized the move as one of Rock Lee's taijutsu attacks. In fact, if it wasn't for his quick reflexes, he would have been taken out with the first strike by that attack. Naruto slid away and formed a hand seal. So you're using Fuzzy Brow's taijutsu and speed, huh? Alright then, how about I even the odds a little? Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Instantly dozens of physical clones appeared around the Uchiha. Sasuke looked around only to see an ocean of orange and black. As the clones attacked, he was forced onto the defensive. One clone, then 2, 3, 4, 5, they just kept coming. They were keeping him pinned and he knew it. It was then he switched tactics. He jumped high into the air above the training ground, his hands already in a seal. Katon, Gakakyu no Jutsu, Sasuke called out as he expelled a large ball of fire towards the large number of clones. They were consumed in the fiery blaze a moment later. HN pathetic. Shinra Tensei, the flames were snuffed out instantly. Naruto stood in the center unharmed with his Rinnegan activated. You didn't think it would be that easy, did you? Sasuke grunted as he touched back down on solid ground. Fight seriously, loser. Even you can't be this pathetic. You want me to fight seriously? Fine. Naruto brought his open palm up towards the Uchiha. Bansho Tenin. Sasuke was surprised when he felt his body being pulled towards Naruto. What is this? Is this one of his Rinnegan's jutsus? Sasuke asked as he drew near. A kunai appeared in Naruto's hand a moment later, and just as Sasuke was within range, struck out. The blade cut the Uchiha's shoulder, nothing fatal, just enough to provide a demonstration that the match would have been over if Naruto had aimed for the head. Sasuke hit the ground with a loud slam where he rolled to a stop. H was on his feet a moment later, however, and looked over at where Naruto was. The blonde was walking away, as if there was no reason to stay. Hey Dobe, where are you going? Sasuke asked in anger. Naruto looked over his shoulder as he walked. You're done. If I had aimed for your head or anything else vital, you would be a corpse right now. You. Sasuke glared at him full force. He would not be humiliated like this. His hands were already forming hand seals. Oh no, Kakashi's eyes widened in recognition. Isn't that Tsunade? Watched with growing worry as blue lightning seemed to encase the Uchiha's right hand. I have to stop this now, the Hokage said, and made to stop the match. Jiraiya stopped him, however. There is no need. Kakashi turned to look at him. You're kidding, right? Those are my students out there. That jutsu Sasuke's using is designed to kill whoever it's aimed at. I can't let this go on any further than it already has. Naruto can handle himself, Jiraiya said simply. Unlike you, Hokage-sama, I actually trained the boy, he won't be taken down so easily. It was then that Kakashi remembered what Naruto had told him back during the Chunin exam. Flashback no jutsu begin. It's funny because even with that new jutsu of his, he won't win, Naruto said with an almost darkened chuckle. Why is it that you believe that? The copy Nin asked as his eyes narrowed. Naruto shot him a small smirk. Because he's fighting a demon container, we're not easily beaten by a thing like that. Flashback no jutsu end. Naruto, what you said back then, you weren't just referring to Gaara, you were referring to yourself as well. You knew you'd face Sasuke eventually, Kakashi realized in surprise. Be careful, you idiot, Yujito thought as she watched the fight continue. Sasuke-kun Naruto, Sakura knew she couldn't stop it, and that just made it worse. Chidori. Sasuke's voice echoed through the training ground as he shot forward. Naruto knew it was coming, and he didn't have much time. Still, he couldn't believe it had come to this. He knew what he had to do. He turned quickly and created a shadow clone at his side. Is this everything we've ever meant to you? Naruto's voice bellowed as Sasuke drew near. The clone finished charging the jutsu, and he swung his hand out, Rasengan. The world was consumed in light. Everyone watched in amazement as the two clashed with their most powerful techniques, sending wind and sparks in every direction before finally the area where they stood exploded. The two Konoha Nins were blown away from each, Sasuke crashing into one of the many trees while Naruto slammed hard into one of the 3 wooden posts in the area. They're really trying to kill each other, Yujito said upon seeing how the fight was going. She didn't know what she feeling. Was it anxiety or was it fear? She didn't know. We have to stop this, Sakura said in horror at the way the two were fighting. Yujito shook her head. It's too late to be stopped now. This is bad, Tsunade commented. Kakashi didn't know what to do in this situation. On one hand, they were shinobi of Konoha and so would fall under his jurisdiction. On the other hand, however, his students fully intending to smash each other into pieces, he couldn't stop them now. It's only going to get worse, Jiraiya stated. What the hell was that jutsu he just used? Sasuke thought angrily as he stood up again. Close combat would be bad if he can use that jutsu of his. I can only do Chidori one more time safely, better stick to long range. The Uchiha readied some wire for his next attack. You're really trying to kill me, aren't you, Sasuke? Naruto asked as he too stood up. Sasuke didn't answer, instead preferring to dash to the side and into the trees where he could possibly stay out of sight. Naruto looked over the area where he disappeared with his Rinnegan but couldn't detect even a hint of chakra. Suddenly wire erupted from the ground around him and caught him while he was surprised. Damn it, he got me. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked to where the wire was connected to. Sasuke's hand were already in a seal. See you in hell, loser, he breathed on the wire and it caught fire. Katon, Karya Enden. Damn it. Naruto was engulfed in a blinding crimson light as the flames drew near. Ha 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 ha. Brat, you should be thanking me for this, me and that blasted Yondaime Hokage who sealed me in here. Oh shit. Tsunade shouted as a column of red chakra spiked out from Naruto's position. Is that Kakashi began? Yes it is, Jiraiya confirmed. Yujito's eyes widened at the sight. This is the first time I've seen him unleash it to this extent. This is nothing like the Chunin exams. Did this happen on the mission to Spring Country? What is going on? Sakura asked as the light died down to reveal. Naruto lowered onto all fours, red chakra encasing his body and taking the shape of a fox with a single swishing tail. It's just like that demon girl, Sasuke thought when he saw it. He realized the danger, of course. This will not be so easy as I thought it would be. Well? What do you think, Scaredy Cat? Naruto asked in a sinister-sounding voice. You're a demon, Sasuke sneered. You really are a monster, just like her. A demon? You don't know the meaning of the word. Naruto shouted as he shot forward at amazing speed. Sasuke didn't see the fist coming until it collided with his face, blowing him back and crashing him through a tree. I didn't even see that, the Uchiha thought in shock. He looked up at Naruto, and his eyes began to shift slightly, concentrate. Suddenly his Sharingan evolved into its next stage as Naruto shot forward again. I can see him now. Sasuke dodged the first strike unlike before, but this time the chakra exuding from Naruto moved on its own and slashed him along his face. He flew back, hitting the ground with a loud thud before rolling to a stop in the center of the clearing. What was that? It's like that chakra of his has a mind of its own, Sasuke thought as he recovered. I'd best stick to purely long-range attacks. Close combat is useless right now. Had enough yet, team? Naruto growled out. Sasuke sneered as he formed a hand seal. Hardly he suddenly expelled a large ball of fire at the chakra fox. Katon, Gakakyu no Jutsu. Naruto didn't dodge it, however. Instead he took it straight on and didn't even flinch as it slammed into him. Sasuke was in shock as mist cleared and Naruto stood completely unharmed. That chakra must be protecting him, Sasuke realized. Naruto held out his hand and the chakra shot out towards the Uchiha. Sasuke's eyes widened, but he was unable to do anything as the claw snagged him, and with a slight tug brought him towards Naruto. The blonde's right hand was glowing red as he drew near, and then suddenly the fist collided with the Uchiha's face. Sasuke was blown back with tremendous force, ricocheting off of 3 trees before finally coming to a stop at the posts. All was silent for a time until, "Kukukuku," Sasuke said as he stood up. The curse seal on his shoulder having completely covered his body, and 2 demonic wings sprouted from his back. Let's finish this, Dob, were his words as he flexed